शिरोदिनि वासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवति हेशिति कण्ठकुटुम्बिनि भूरि कुटुम्बिनि भूरि कृते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते सुरवरवर्षिणि दुर्धरदर्शिनि दुर्मुखमर्षिनि हर्षरते त्रिभुवनपोषिनि शङ्करतोषिनि किल्बिषमोषिनि घोषरते धनुजनिरोषिनि दितिश्रुतरोषिनि दुर्मथतोषिनि सिन्धुसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते
Hi guys, thank you for joining the live stream. Okay, now I hope the audio is coming fine. If it isn't, let me know. So we are back today discussing something we've been discussing for the last 7-8 months. We are going to be saying more or less the same things we have been saying for the last 7-8 months. But the fun part is that we are luckily, it's a good champagne problem to have, that we get so many new viewers who are all fascinated by what we are proposing, and therefore they push back. So pushback is good. It sharpens our thinking, critical thinking and debating skills as well. And also a lot of our viewers who don't really watch our live streams just check out our bombastic comments and statements from every now and then, and comment and reply and try to debunk us based on those cool sentences and here and there that I come up with, not the hardcore research we get into. So for them and for the new viewers, here we come again discussing why caste cannot be called a Hindu problem or an indigenously Indian problem or even a South Asian problem. Now, of course, breaking down of caste barriers, casteism, bad behavior, going away of those things is going to be very fruitful in uniting Indians. Now, who the fuck would have thought that blaming caste on Hinduism would also be such a gigantic uniting factor? Now, most of Indians already have agreed forever and after, except some upper caste people somewhere in some places in India. Most people have agreed that yes, caste is essentially Hindu. Now, what we are seeing are stranger alliances, strange bedfellows, commies, casteist trads, Trinamool supporters, some people of the Western academia, mainstream politicians of all kind in India, general commentators, journalists all over the world. Everyone is in agreement that caste is absolutely Hindu, and there's no two ways about it. Except there's only one difference here, that the casteist trads believe that it's distinctly in Hindu and Indian, but it's of course a great thing. But everyone else agrees it's a bad thing, even though they practice it in different ways in their own lives. But it mainly happened because of some one random guy called Raja Manu, who was a Kshatriya, by the way, but he somehow came up with a book, which everyone mugged up in the entire country, and therefore decided that let's give all the powers to the Brahmin, from a book written by a Kshatriya. Okay. So, good evening, Professor Mysterious Sociologist.
क्या यार तुम मिलते नहीं हो आजकल.
So, let's start with an event I went to. There I spoke to Professor Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, kind of in an unofficial manner, because in the event the actual audience question answer session was not done because of lack of time. So outside the main venue room, we spoke over a bit of tea, where he was launching his new book. It's a translation of Rabindranath Thakur's book called Charodhyay. It's called 4 chapters. So there I asked him a bunch of things, among which the most fascinating answer that he gave was where 50% of it was absolutely insanely fascinating because I agreed with it, and 50% did not really make any sense to me. So I asked him that, sir, see since you yourself have said that Bhadraloks are basically a caste, the Brahman Boidho Kaisto complex of Kolkata, intellectual complex of Kolkata. And Doyaboti Roy has shown that CPIM's rule has also created and sustained casteism in West Bengal, but it has nothing to do with Dharma Shastras. There's Sumit Guha saying religion is not that important. Irfan Habib has, in my personal opinion, done the most fascinating job destroying the myth that Hinduism has anything to do with casteism. And there are so many others, Nicholas Dirks, etc. So now the fact that still in West Bengal today, all the lower caste, all the deaths in political violence and riots and all happen to lower caste Hindus or lower caste Muslims. And in every position of power, be it in the entertainment sector, film, media, book writing, painting, politics, everything, IAS, etc., UPSC, no, what WBCS, in all those positions, it's mainly Brahmins, Boidos, or Kaistos. So, based on this, can we say that West Bengal is the most casteist society in India? If not the most casteist, is it at least as casteist as anywhere else in India? He said, yeah, based on these facts, yes, we can say it's the most casteist society in India. Then I asked in a different question about half an hour later, because the event had not started as of yet. So I asked, sir, then the kind of casteism we see in West Bengal, it's not really happening because everyone is reading Manusmriti, right? Like as shown by Doyaboti Roy as well. So where is this casteism coming from? Is it because of Hinduism as a general thing? He said, no, this has nothing to do with Hindu scriptures. This is where we have a fantastic juicy quote. The casteism in Bengal has nothing to do with Hindu scriptures. But then he said, I guess it's just Hinduism in practice, but it's not Hinduism based on scripture. That means I am not obviously going to laugh at him like a monster, like Mr. Sociologist is doing, because he is a very
I am not laughing at
rational
I'm
man.
not laughing at Professor Bandyopadhyay because he's an actual serious historian. Okay, I'm not laughing at him. I am
Yeah,
laughing at us because we, as a whatever 100 crore strong community or whatever we are, we we have been unable to, it's like the Scarlet Letter. If you guys have watched this movie called Easy A, we have pinned that caste thing on our chest, and even if somebody
मैं
disagrees,
हम casteist है, मेरे को आता है
exactly,
casteism.
exactly. We've accepted it, we've made it our own, and the problem is that now you can't get rid of something so easily. So Professor Bandyopadhyay would never be caught saying that caste has nothing to do with at all to do with Hinduism. ऐसे बोलेंगे तो कोई तुम जैसे रैंडम आदमी बोल देगा हाँ प्रोफेसर बंदोपाध्याय said nothing to do with Hinduism. मतलब
आरएसएस का दल्ला.
आरएसएस का दल्ला शिखर बंदोपाध्याय बोल दोगे बस खत्म. उनका वैसे he is quite old now. He is a senior. I don't think he will face any kind of problems that way. But either way, it is so politically incorrect to say that caste has nothing to do with Hinduism that even somebody like Professor Bandyopadhyay, who has studied it like so thoroughly,
inside out,
historically, right? Which is something I prefer nowadays myself.
Right.
So even he cannot say it out loud that ये scripture नहीं है, ये practice है. He has to somewhere like a footnote, he has to insert Hinduism in there. So getting to that, like, this is where our failure lies as a community, I think. Like, I don't know, like, it's like saying like Germans were responsible for whatever happened at that time, right? You know what time? I'm not going to say it because
Germanic society in practice.
Yes, Germanic society in practice. You can't blame a whole, community for a problem that seems to be happening in other places of the world as well, right? So that is where we have been trying. The channel has been trying. I have been trying. You have been trying through proper research to establish that it has little to do with Dharma Shastra, simply because Dharma Shastra mita doge completely Hindu wo ideology mit bhi jayega, fir bhi caste persists, and it has been found in other parts of the world. So people who have never even looked at a Brahmin, they practice a different form of casteism in their own societies. And this is different, and Nandish has raised this good issue that is it the same as what you are what you're seeing with this thing Wilkerson, right? But I beg to
I asked him
again.
that also, kind of.
Yeah, Yeah. And what did he say? What did he say to that?
Yeah. Actually, when I told you this story, you interpreted it that way. I asked him, can hierarchies of any kind, hierarchy based bad behavior of any kind in the world be termed casteism? He said, he vehemently said, no, no. So I thought I was getting at, of course, hinting it towards status based bad behavior everywhere. But you
Yeah.
interpreted to mean that therefore race cannot be cast at all.
Yes, race has its own. So I was reading another paper. I'll pass it on to you guys.
Hmm.
Where very interestingly, now this will not help us per se, but it is raising a very important thing. Where Donald Davis, he is a historian of the
Hmm.
Dharma Shastras. He says that Wilkerson is right because just as caste or status groups in India, let's stick to that, were established by legal scriptures, legal documents, right, like Dharma Shastras and all, technically
Yeah.
legal documents, or land grants to Brahmins and all. This kind of
Hmm.
thing created the so-called varna nahi, jati hierarchies in
Hmm.
India.
Hmm.
Same manner was used by uh, this thing, the whites of America and other parts of the world,
Hmm.
to establish their own supremacy through laws like segregation and all,
Yeah.
which the race is a visible version of caste. मतलब caste है, उसका
Hmm.
visible है race, but
Hmm.
both are essentially based on legal doctrines. Like race
Hmm.
was created by uh, we had discussed this earlier, I think, or I may have discussed it with somebody else. There are historians like Peggy Pascoe and a few others who have discussed how
Okay.
race was created by historical laws related to miscegenation, which means whites cannot marry non-whites,
Hmm.
and then also there were laws regarding segregation. Matlab black guy can't sit with a white person in a bus and stuff like that. Why
Yeah.
black guy can't go to a school with a white guy, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But this is where the problem lies. So Donald Davis says that caste is the underlying principle, race is the visible principle. वो सब ठीक है, according to him, Wilkerson is right.
Hmm.
But here's the other issue. He says that so there are debates. He picks up these debates from the Dharma Shastras. I will, when I pass on to you guys, you the paper, you will see
Hmm.
it's a very interesting
Hmm.
paper. He says that कि race ये contributions of India to Indian sociology में ही है ये paper. So
Hmm.
he says that just as race was created by laws, caste was
Right.
also created by Dharma Shastric laws. So both are essentially equal. Okay. And the
Okay. Okay.
Pandits, the Brahmins, intellectuals, they debated ki, matlab, a Brahmin does not look visibly different from a Chandala, right? Technically.
Hmm. Hmm.
If
Hmm.
both are wearing the same clothes, you won't know who's a Brahmin, who's a Chandal, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's where they say that there is this tautological argument that because a Brahmin has certain knowledge, certain kind of whatever superiority, so called, in terms of knowledge and ethics and all that stuff. So a
Hmm.
Brahmin's presence is there. Also, his parentage and lineage is known to you after a while. मतलब Brahmin का बेटा ब्राह्मण ही होगा ऐसा type. Your
Yeah.
area has a family of Brahmins, so you know that the son or daughter of the family is a Brahmin, right? It's
Hmm.
as simple as that. But they say that just as you can't distinguish between cows and horses and pigs and ducks and what all that stuff, you can't
Yeah.
distinguish between various species of animals.
Hmm.
You can distinguish the same way Brahmins and other castes cannot be distinguished through looks or through physical features.
Hmm.
Okay, but contrary to that, so then what happens is this guy Davis says that
Hmm.
um, what Wilkerson is showing, and
Hmm.
he's and has been the argument that because legal statuses define blacks as a certain kind of looks wala person, so legally race was created.
Right.
But the problem is he's saying कि biology नहीं है, legal है race.
Hmm.
But here's where the problem lies. Race was very much a part of the created biological discourse of the 19th and 20th century.
Hmm.
मतलब क्या हुआ, biology, the science of biology, the science of and anthropometrics, kind of the way your skull is measured, the way you look, your skin color, your genes, your certain chromosomes are
Yeah.
whatever, some variations of your genetic material is there because you're from either Africa or Asia or Europe. These that all these factors were brought into genetic discourse, the discourse
That
of.
was the core competency of PC Mohalanobish, who got hired as the economic advisor to
So
Jawaharlal
yeah, he
Nehru.
was an anthropometrist, right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So
Yeah.
that aside, my point is this, that uh, race, if you the Davis is saying कि law and biology are different, and दोनों ही race और caste दोनों ही law के वजह से है. Both are products of law. But the
Nice.
problem is when the laws change, the caste structures change. So when you say that now being a Dalit means you get certain state sponsored better privileges or jobs, then what happens is the power equations change. SC/ST Act changes the power equation, but racial existence does not change because of laws. Like you can do DEI and all that stuff, but you have to qualify as black, right? The power hierarchy might change, but the definition of black, white, Asian, Caucasian, this, that, whatever they have, like now Latinx, whatever. So this is the problem. कि biology को ये Donald Davis is kind of looking at biology as a joke, but biology is
Right.
not a joke. Biology is something which is very much penetrated all our lives now.
Yes.
We think in terms of genes, blood, descent,
Hormones.
parentage, hormones, everything. Every aspect of our lives is dominated by biological sciences.
Yeah.
So here also Foucault comes into use, where you can trace how biological discourses were shaped by social forces and stuff. That is different. वो भी यही बोल रहा है, मैं भी यही बोल रहा हूँ, biology was shaped by society. But having
Yeah.
said that, we cannot deny that biological sciences, doctors, anthropologists, they have their own power in society now. They have their own power to define stuff. और अभी भी
Right.
देखो, even now in Indian society, जो आर्यन रेस वाला मतलब बकचोदी किया है ये लोग, that still has not gone. Like you can, people still think, yeah, Wiki Donor. I remember Wiki Donor में that guy used to say, Anu Kapoor used to say, pure Aryan race बोलता था वो आयुष्मान खुराना के जीन को, right? So what I'm saying is it's a part of your daily discourse now, the biological aspect.
Yes.
Right. So can't really say कि मतलब how can it be that just legally हमने alter कर दिया, पूरा DEI कर दिया and all that stuff, so now race has disappeared? ऐसा तो नहीं है ना.
Yeah.
So precisely
Now,
that is where I would say that Wilkerson and our thing is different. Like Wilkerson, Davis, all these people, they are saying something, but we are saying a slightly different thing, but which is very important. Yeah.
Now, I have heard this argument in other contexts as well, where therefore the current crop of sociologists are criticizing this way of thinking in itself and calling it that's just bioessentialism, because now you can't say that men have these characteristics because of having higher testosterone than women, and women are this way kind of because they have more estrogen than men. No, that's bioessentialism, and that's bad. Now everything is socially constructed, but except caste. So now the one thing I really thought of, I questioned myself when Shekhar Bandyopadhyay said that it's Hinduism in practice. I thought, okay, then is he also saying that since Hinduism is not a religion per se, it's a way of life? In my opinion, it's the most accurate definition would be that it's a snapshot in time of a way of life in this area called Akhand Bharat or South Asia, etc. So if that is Hinduism, and inside that way of life, in that category of snapshot of time, there was a thing called a specific kind of casteism and caste-based bad behavior or good behavior, the maintenance of some family-based hierarchies. Then is that saying Hindu that therefore that's fair to say that it's Hinduism in practice, because since Hinduism is a way of life. But then I thought, what do you think of this argument? First of all, that if it is Hinduism in practice and Hinduism is not a religion, it's a way of life, then isn't Shekhar Bandyopadhyay correct? But my counter argument to myself in this case was that then you are saying that behaving badly towards someone based on their family birth is then sort of an Indian problem, whatever that means. And then
Yeah.
it can only mean one thing, which is it's a somewhat of a racial flaw we have. By being born in India, we immediately think of everyone else as a caste. Now, actually, that's also something Shekhar Bandyopadhyay specified to me, because I was flabbergasted with this response, and I, of course, did not react too hard because he's a very nice, quiet, polite man. So I was also whispering because I did not want everyone else to hear my questions anyway. He was surrounded by 15 people. So I said, uh, "Sir, so then what has this got to do with Hinduism?" He said, "It's just the Hindu mind or the Indian mind, maybe that looks at everything as caste. Then that is a racial argument, right? That's early days of anthropology. Then
Essentially.
eugenicism.
essentially
Yeah,
essentially but let me get back to the way of life thing, because I think you
right.
have said something very important there.
Hmm.
Way of life is also brushing your teeth. Okay, that is
Hmm.
now our way of life.
Hmm.
Now my thing is, way of life to static nahi hai.
Hmm.
Electricity was not our way of life. Going on cars and stuff like that, using touch screen phones, that was, none of this was our way of life. These
Yeah.
became, so there were, so by that logic, see this, the main problem is this, that did caste change or remain the same? If it changes due to political and economic and social circumstances,
Hmm.
then uh, then caste is just like anything else, which changes with time and space. Okay,
Hmm.
so understand what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
Matlab, if politics influences caste, then caste is not some religious ekdam mane pure principle of thought. It is
Hmm.
susceptible to economic changes, which we have seen by
Hmm.
Hitesh Ranjan Sannal and others,
Yeah.
right? So when we're now brushing our teeth with Colgate, right, or
Hmm.
whatever brand you guys use, and
Hmm.
toothbrushes which are made of plastic.
Hmm.
Now
Hmm.
your ancestors did it with neem leaves, neem
Hmm.
sticks, right? So the thing is that just like that, something changes, way of life change. Now you can say that, oh, caste pehle tha ki you don't sit with a shudra, you don't eat with a dalit or whatever. ऐसे था, अभी हो गया कि I might not interact with them, or online में गाली देके चले आएंगे, ऐसा कुछ हो गया शायद. Maybe somebody can say that for argument's sake, but my point is very fundamentally different here. My point is, just as there have been irreversible changes in our ways of life from maybe the last even 500 years, right? Our life has changed rapidly from compared
Especially
to
in communication, communication
communication,
and knowledge, knowledge
everything.
exchange.
So same way, caste has also changed in whatever form, pure
Hmm.
form it was.
Yeah.
It is susceptible to change, which means it is not
Right.
an enduring religious principle. मतलब क्या है? सरतन से जुदा 1400 years पहले था, 1400 years बाद भी है.
Hmm.
But caste discrimination is not like that. So because it is not based on certain the sanctity of some religious texts. We don't have one particular religious text, right?
Hmm.
Which is why the so-called caste supremacy of some people, or discrimination, that nature changes, the people discriminated change. Okay,
Hmm.
so it's all based on politics and economics. It has nothing to do with religious factors. And when you take into account what was happening in Europe, Germany, USA, Japan, whatever, wherever you go,
Hmm.
hundreds of places, we can supply many papers and books to
Yeah.
that effect. Then you will see कि वहां पे भी इकोनॉमिक्स एंड पॉलिटिक्स की वजह से चेंज हो गया. पहले 50 years ago, blacks couldn't sit on a bus, right?
Hmm.
Now blacks are being given priority admissions in Harvard.
Yeah.
So just as race changed with economics and politics, so does caste. Why should caste be this unchanging Hindu principle then? And if it is, you're born Indian, so you look through a lens of discrimination, then
Hmm.
how do you explain race and caste in Japan? You have caste in Germany. You have examples of not the Nazi thing, but the caste in Germany means in the early modern period you
Yeah.
have skinners and executioners in Europe who nobody would marry. If you shook hands with an executioner or skinner, you would nobody would talk to you. This is not even the church dictates. People just thought you are polluted now. Nobody will talk to you. Okay.
Boston Brahmins.
Exactly. So even Brahmins who do, even Pirali Brahmins in Bengal, Pirali Brahmins were the Brahmins who had like eaten food with Muslims or somebody one. Sometimes it happened, like if you guys read this thing Bonget Jatiyo Itihash Pirali Brahmon Kando, you will see that the Pirali Brahmon families are documented by Nagendranath Bosu there. So if you read those stories, you will see that in many cases, Brahmin daughters were taken away by Muslims. Okay. Then
Okay.
what happened is that whole family got excommunicated by Brahmins themselves. Okay. They weren't Brahmins anymore. They were polluted, technically. So that is the thing. Again, the same Brahmins, when they paid off some other Brahmins, they had their own endogamous caste system called males, where they used to marry with each other. So they were like, hum bhi polluted, tum bhi polluted, chalo abhi shadi kar lete hain. So that logic. Okay. So you have to see that caste is not some unchanging reality. That is the problem with what we're trying to establish here. That is a fundamental principle. That's what Irfan Habib is saying. That's what Sumit Guha is saying. That ये कोई unchanging religious principle नहीं है कि किताब में 2000 साल पहले लिखा हुआ था. So even now we have to abide by the same thing. This thing. So that's why we are saying that caste has nothing to do with Hinduism. Because then whatever Vedic society was doing, we are doing till now. And that does not make any sense historically or sociologically or otherwise. Right.
Now, actually, that brings me to the next point we were going to discuss anyway, which is another sociologist who almost agrees with us, but did not agree with one thing. But before that, would you like to touch upon this quickly? This Yucatan caste war thing.
I had heard about this. I am not. I don't
Okay.
know much about it to comment. To be very honest.
Okay. So yeah. So the point that whether caste-based bad behavior exists today elsewhere or not, and is it really fair to say that West Bengal is the most casteist society because there are no honor killings here, even though something called honor killing officially by the media maybe happens 5 times in one state, but 50 deaths happened in one panchayat election based on the honors of two different political parties in West Bengal. So it's all a matter of semantics. It matters what definitions are given to which kind of act. Now, the sociologist we were talking about a few days back, I had a conversation with him as well. That would you say West Bengal is the most caste society? He said that only if you base it on representation, that you see that upper caste and mainly Brahmins, those castes are represented overwhelmingly, disproportionately in every position of influence and power. On the other hand, in 99% of deaths in political riots and violence in West Bengal, which is a very frequent thing, like if you would be surprised if in the last 5 hours someone has not gotten killed for their political affiliation. All of that usually happens to lower caste Hindus or lower caste Muslims. Now, based on these kinds of representation, which would be the end result of any supposedly casteist state or society, you would think that yes, because a state is casteist, because a state is filled with evil Brahmins, therefore Brahmins and Kshatriyas would be in positions of power, and the stupid lower caste quote unquote idiots would be and the fag end of all violence. Lo and behold, a state which does not have casteism also comes up with the same results. If you believe in, if you take these representations of different numbers of groups into account, then yes, that sociologist said that yes, West Bengal is a casteist society. So I asked him, what other way is there to look at this then? If not representation, then what? He said, well, actual documentation and data of caste-based violence, in which, of course, UP Bihar takes the roost and stuff, rules the roost. What's the figure of speech? Anyway, now there, my Thomas Sowell fan brain remembered that there's a thing called statistical fallacy, and which journalists are great at doing, economists are great at doing, statisticians are, of course, the best at doing, which is statistical fallacy itself. So let's say today, me and a Brahmin friend, maybe a bandmate, maybe have a fight in our rehearsal in our band, okay, over a guitar solo, okay. The headline in Kolkata will be, and let's say we have a fight, and by some miracle that guy beats me up and I end up in hospital. The headline next day will be, the band's Brahmin vocalist, band's vocalist beats up guitarist, okay, and one guy ends up in hospital. that same interaction, that same altercation in UP or Bihar will be that Brahmin beats up Vaishya, Bania, and guitarist and vocalist will probably also not be mentioned. Then how the fuck are we supposed to trust the data coming out of UP and Bihar? Because it depends on what names and definition we are giving to the incident itself. So,
Yes.
Mr. Sociologist, what do we do about this?
No, so I can't help but agree with you on this, not because it's helping my own view regarding the matter, but it is true. Like, if honor killing West Bengal में नहीं होता है, child marriage West Bengal में नहीं होता है, that is my one question. It happens, but these are very safely kept under wraps. Now, how and are you telling me that honestly, if you go to any so I remember when I started my research on certain lower caste groups in Bengal, one of my relatives said, "Do you have to research these people, these kind of things? There are some hidden caste slurs and stuff." In West Bengal, these things never make headlines. That is because West Bengal is still Stalingrad or Leningrad or whatever. If something goes wrong in Stalingrad or Leningrad, you can't, according to communist whatever utopian terms, you can't say that communism solved all of these problems. Number one. Number two is the the domination of see, like we keep go on saying, communism is just feudalism 2.0 in many ways. So these people, these groups of people who were feudal lords, Brahmins, Caistos, both these three castes, they re-emerged as communists in the post-colonial era, because this helped them preserve their power in the state, system, the state hierarchy. This is not, this is how you hide your thing. So this is the same logic by which a white liberal abuses his own ancestors and says, my ancestors used to be slave owners, but I am the most woke person, I will give reparations to black people.
And
But
therefore any black person who supports Trump is a fucking asshole today.
Yes, and not just that, that means that by giving reparations of $30, according to Matt Walsh, I am kind of saying that it's okay. Like, but I will still get the 15,000 that is earmarked for my expenses, my own life. Okay, so a part of that I will give to this these poor black people, so that you can now forget that my ancestors did it. In a way, this helps to preserve their power in a world where these people have a voice. Blacks have a voice, Dalits have a voice, everyone has a voice now. So that is the mechanism by which this supremacy is preserved by these groups.
Yeah.
And that is how you can understand why West Bengal is the way it is, where the rape of a Dalit woman does not get reported, Dalit girl does not get reported in national media. A doctor's rape is reported for a different reason, but the same in the same timeline, a Dalit girl was raped and murdered, but nobody reported that. Okay.
Yeah. 5 days after the Arjikor incident, some 12-year or 14-year-old girl got raped and murdered, raped in Kuch Bihar.
Nobody knows. I don't think anybody in the comment section knows. Anybody watching this video, maybe one or two people, except those people, nobody knows this thing, because the media never highlighted it, because it's West Bengal. The same thing happening in a different state would have been highlighted 20 times. Right. So that is the thing. And this is, we enjoy this liberal privilege. West Bengal is California.
Yeah, and this is a debate I had with a bunch of people that day after the event. That someone said a bit significant, a bit of a significant personality. So he said that he's also of the opinion that no, West Bengal is not really casteist, and at least not remotely as UP and Bihar and stuff. So I kept giving them the counter arguments that you see, in the end, since the end results are same, as you would expect in a truly casteist state, that violence is only happening with lower caste people, positions of influence and power are with upper caste people, Therefore, you see, when because the immediate argument I was countering was that, see, casteist slurs even don't even work in West Bengal, because if someone does say chamar, I have been called chamar by many people, but it was not because of a caste issue, because I am very miserly. And Kipche people are called chamars in West Bengal. So what tells you is that yes, at some point in time, chamar was definitely a gali even in West Bengal. It has now come to mean a miserly person. So since now it is not a casteist gali or keura. Keura means sort of a chapri in Bengali, even though keura was actually a caste. Now no one remembers it, but which also means that keura at some point at least was a casteist slur, which is why it remained a slur, lost the casteist aspect of it. But you see, when in the end a lower caste person dies, or if at all he is hurled a casteist slur, he does not have, in West Bengal, he does not have 100, 200 people waiting behind him to support him or to counter the upper caste man who said or did anything bad to him, even though something bad or the other is going to happen to him anyway. Either he's the one who is going to die in political violence or riot and stuff, or he's the one who's going to remain less educated or remain less poor and stuff. Okay. Now, then the other significant man with whom I agree on most things, but who believes that West Bengal does not have casteism, he said that, see, casteism is going away so hard in Indian society that, you see, I'm fascinated by the rise of who's that guy, Ramvilas Paswan's son, who I fucking thought he was 28 years old, but he's so fit and healthy that he's actually 42. So and he said that, see, a rise like that, Chirag Paswan, he is almost sort of a, sex symbol to the youth of the country, at least to the non-left youth of the country. And immediately it came to my mind, and gladly I was supported by someone who was standing beside me, that where is the Chirag Paswan of West Bengal? Now, then are caste-based movements necessary then? Because capitalism to bhosri ki koi laega nahi, free market disruption koi hone nahi dega. So how do we prevent this then? Unless we are going to say that yes, political deaths are going to go on anyway. Some upper castes also will have to die with them from time to time. Ye ek tarfa band hoga. But other than that, there's basically no recourse for any lower caste person in West Bengal to address any fucking thing. Whereas the actual so-called casteist states have recourse avenues for lower caste people. No one can fuck with anyone based on their caste. And therefore, if at all a caste-based violence happens and stuff, or someone behaves badly towards any caste and stuff, there will be 100, 200 people, there will be narratives, there will be media personalities waiting to fight for that man. No such thing can happen in West Bengal because no one even fucking admits. Not commies, not casteist trads, not even anti-caste Bengali Hindu trads agree that West Bengal has a caste-based problem. So, what do we do about that, Mr. Sociologist?
No, there's nothing to be done except we have to keep fighting this uphill battle. Our job is like that guy. Remember that Greek guy who kept pushing the boulder uphill, and I think it was the guy who gave light. उसका नाम क्या है? वो लाइट चोरी किया था जिस बंदे ने. हाँ, so that dude, he was punished by saying that no, he was like his liver would grow back, or anyway, forget that. My thing is that we have to keep pushing this boulder uphill, okay, repeatedly, because this is, see, you have to understand one thing. Bengali bhadraloks, they are very, they're very hard in the head about a few things. They will never acknowledge that their privileges are the result of deprivation of certain people because of their community.
This is the thing I can't absolutely accept from upper caste commie Bengali Hindus who have all of a sudden bought into this trend of hiding their surnames, okay? Especially that guy who used to take my screenshots and stuff and post it everywhere, which is why a lot of people are refusing to work with me in the music scene already, I suspect. Now, that is the guy who said, whose screenshot I posted today. Without naming him, he always takes my screenshots and shows my DP, name, everything, and then abuses me. I shared something where he said that how bad capitalism is, etc. But the fucker lives in Pune. He was born and raised in Kolkata. He hates capitalism, has to work in Pune. And then one guy actually asked him in the comment section. Now he has hidden his surname, by the way. That's my main point here. One guy asked him in the comment section that, what do you suggest then? He said these questions are too deep to be, I mean, elaborated in a comment section. So of course he's having fun with his work and money and earning and all those nice things that people in Pune have but we can't have in Kolkata. So he thinks he has done something brilliant by hiding his Brahmin surname. He is Brahmin. He's a Radi Brahmin. I checked on Google. His Gotra is Kashyap. So of course he also does not know Kashmir was named after his Gotra head. But anyway, he thinks he is doing something incredible by hiding his caste surname, but he can't let go of the cultural capital he was born and raised with. About 3-4, at least 5-6 generations of focus on knowledge, learning, education that he was brought up with. Of course economy is definitely one important factor in caste, but it's not everything. But how is all of that going to go away just because you don't show your surname? Instead, what you try to show off is that you don't believe in caste, even though you are commie, you hate Hinduism. So this latest fad is pissing me the fuck off.
No, this is not latest. This is very funny. I was reading Koff's this thing. ये जो ब्राह्मो समाज के ऊपर बुक है उसका, I keep forgetting the name. Anyway, the cultural something of the Brahmo Samaj, KOPF, Koff. Okay.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of Brahmos who used to cut off their poites, their sacred threads.
Yeah.
So, I don't believe in caste. बोले sacred thread काट दिया. मैं बोला तुम sacred thread काट लो तो क्या हो जाता है? मतलब who gives a damn if you cut your sacred thread if you remove your surname? You are sitting in Calcutta working for the British. You are earning tons of money. Your son or daughter is going to English medium schools. Then they're studying in presidency. Then they are getting international jobs. Who the hell cares if you don't use your surname?
Yeah.
If we go back, you did some stuff which helped you. I'm not against working for the British and stuff, because frankly many of our ancestors work for the British. ऐसे देखेंगे तो आधे लोग work for the Mughals or British at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's not what I have a problem with. I have a problem with the thing that firstly you are enjoying the benefits of a system of Hindu dharma, whatever, if at all. Okay, so let's say in medieval Bengal or medieval India, you were an upper caste or dominant caste, landowning caste, so you benefited in some ways. Then वो benefit transfer हो गया कि you under the British you are working in a clerical position, but that's quite a bit of money and privilege for that time, and jobs were permanent at that time. Remember that. So your permanent job, government job, that all the benefits you can ask for, and then your son or daughter is going to English medium and all that. So when you are erasing one part of your name, that doesn't mean that you are able to undo all the privileges that came associated with it till you removed it. Okay, यही problem है इनके साथ, and they completely denied, and they are such hypocrites. Like you said, the guy sitting in Pune is talking about how capitalism is horrible. तो तुम पुणे काहे गए भैया? तुम अंडमान जाओ, work with tribals where no capitalism has ever entered, work with Jarwas. Why are you sitting even in West Bengal? West Bengal में भी तुम capitalism के जगह पे ही बैठे हो ना. You are not sitting in a tribal village of Jhargram, right? And teaching some tribal kids whatever. So commies, like they say, anyway, if I say that it might get problematic, so I won't say it. I think Bhupendra has a comment.
He's saying, ask Mr. Sociologist, we are celebrating the RSS centenary in our YouTube channel, Navamvimarsh. You are invited to share your thoughts. Yes, we can go and discuss some Max Weber, because he's the biggest RSS kadalla I've ever seen in my life.
But having said that, I'm very disappointed with I am bordering on Ram Swarup, and I am bordering on this thing Sitaram Goel at this point. I'm hopeless about that, which comes to our other part of the topic, by the way.
We have not actually gone into the main part of the topic, because we have many angles to touch upon. Now here's one little digression I need to do, which is sort of a digression from the core point we are trying to further, which is that if casteism has to do something with Hinduism, even then, if it is at all true, so what? Where are we going to take this retrospective retribution, punishment sort of a thing? I mean, what are devout Hindus who genuinely don't believe in casteism today, but are devout Hindus supposed to do with this claim that casteism is the fault of Hinduism? What the
I
fuck?
think this
If
has
it is
been,
so,
so here's where I get very pissed off about even people from the Indic side who discuss colonization of India, right?
Hmm.
They keep saying, we were separate, we were different, we were this. My point is, that's like saying that you're justifying colonization by other more horrible groups, arguably, uh, because you had some issue. This is akin to saying, very similar to saying that a girl got whatever uh, harassed because she was wearing small clothes.
yeah, victim blaming.
Okay, so this is victim shaming essentially.
Hmm.
If there were problems again which are consistently proven to have nothing to do with the Hindu religious ideology from the Vedas, nothing to do with that, then if that was the case, then how can you even use it to beat use it as a stick to
Right.
beat up a population who was repeatedly colonized by people who had their own forms of oppression in their own
Hmm.
cultures?
Hmm. Yeah,
How
and
can you
then we are
do
not
that?
supposed to discuss the different kinds of atrocities and violence that were done by Native Americans among themselves, or the Mayans and Incas amongst themselves.
Yeah, and does
तब
that
तब बहुत तरीके
justify
से अब
what the
indigenous
white people
activists.
did to them? Does
Yeah,
that justify colonization of the
right.
US?
Yeah.
US to nahi tha, whatever, Americas by them.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
how do you so why are the standards for Hindus always different? I
Hmm.
think it's because at some level we have failed to build a discourse that is befitting of our of our position, of
Yeah.
our victimhood.
Yeah.
We never
Now.
played our victimhood, and that is a problem, because that's exactly what you said on the the Israeli woman's podcast, right? That
Hmm.
uh, because we were unable to kind of showcase that we are victims the
Hmm.
way the everyone watches Schindler's List, everyone, like, there's a Holocaust movie every few days, right?
Hmm.
So there's some way in which people are reminded of this terrible atrocity that happened to the Jewish people.
Hmm.
We are never reminded of the atrocities that happen. Yeah,
Hmm.
people talk about wo Ramayan mein plane tha, helicopter tha. I don't care. The problem is not that we were great. That will never
Yeah.
sustain a discourse. That will
Yeah.
never help anyone, because we'll be stuck with a helicopter mein engine kahan se aaya, what
Hmm.
happened, this, that. I don't care if we had even if we did have a helicopter, if we had
Hmm.
iPads in 500 BC in India, who
Yeah.
cares? Who cares?
Hmm.
Does it affect me now?
Hmm.
What does affect me now is certain colonizing ideologies that have tried to keep us, colonized,
Hmm.
which includes communism.
Hmm.
So that's the
Yeah.
thing.
iPad in 500 BC is probably great for kids, to motivate them growing up, that yes, you are part of
Yeah.
a descendant of a great civilization. But अब तो हम बड़े हो गए हैं भाई. अब हमारा क्या है? तो which
Precisely.
brings me to Shatik Das's comment here, which kind of actually gets to the screenshot I sent to you, which was asked of me on Twitter by a frequent viewer of ours. He really likes our work. He said that he 95% agrees with us on this issue, but he still has one bit of a problem, that after all, purohits are being selected based on birth and stuff. So why is it not really a blame on Hinduism? Why is it, how do we connect it with the rest of the casteism of the entire world? Hello.
So what
Yeah,
happened is, I was drinking some water. Sorry.
that's okay.
What happened is, um, even birth-based selection of certain positions, um, this kind of thing. I mean, is it not a bit hypocritical for us to point it at ourselves at some level? Because why am I saying this? Because I had watched this video by a group called Ex-Muslims of North America. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, they said that essentially what works in the Islamic world today is Arab supremacy. So
Yes.
Bengali as a language, or African languages, Swahili and all that, these are not given any importance,
Yeah.
because essentially Islam promotes Arab supremacy in terms of
Right.
clothing, culture, language, religion.
Hmm.
And it also kind of promotes Arabs themselves. Like, uh, if you see Arabs of the Middle East, they are considered superior
Hmm.
to the Muslims of India by
Hence
their
the
own
concept of
definition.
Ashrafs versus Ajlafs and Darzals.
Precisely. So if birth is uh, a criteria just in Hinduism, then it is not a criteria in Hinduism alone.
Hmm.
It is there in all parts of the world.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There will always be the question of whether somebody is worth something because of their ancestry or
Hmm.
because of their achievement.
Hmm.
And ये लॉजिक हर देश में, हर सोसाइटी में था.
Hmm.
American universities have a great system called legacy admissions. Okay. Where you can get selected to Harvard because your
Hmm.
dad or granddad were Harvard alum. Okay.
Hmm.
Or Yale or whatever. So
Hmm.
the thing is, if legacy admission systems work in the US,
Hmm.
because your family members, somebody qualified for Harvard back in the day when
Hmm.
they didn't allow black people in Harvard and all that stuff, or Indians
Yeah.
and all that, very few,
Even Jews.
even Jews, then
Hmm.
you must ask yourself that is this birth-based thing, very even unique to India in any
Right.
way?
Even the birth-based factor is not unique to India.
Yes. So how is it unique? That is my question. Matlab, even if people are a-holes in this country,
Right.
how are they uniquely a-holes? That has always been my
Uniquely
question.
a-hole. There
Yeah.
comes the problem of race-based a-holiness and
Yeah.
the early days of anthropology again. We are back to that shit.
Yes. And this is why we must keep. Actually, I guess, like I said, I think it's Sisyphus. Sisyphus was punished that way in Greece. Okay. So he had to keep pushing that stone.
Hmm.
uh, that stone he had to push uphill,
Hmm.
to kind of, because as a punishment, and every day he had to do it repeatedly,
Hmm.
because we are up against, as you said, it has united Trads-Raitas-Commies, everyone. Matlab, everyone believes the supremacy of Brahmins, which was not that, which has been disproved, okay,
Hmm.
repeatedly
Hmm.
by Quigley and many others. If you check our live
Yeah.
streams, you will get it.
Yeah.
The papers that we read.
Yeah.
So, why they each believe in this crap?
Hmm.
Okay. So I think that particularly, I think Trads and Commies are more in this here, more than Raitas, because
Hmm.
Commies then get a kind of sense of supremacy of their ideology,
Right.
which is dearer to them than their own
Hmm.
culture, by the way. Okay.
Hmm.
Trads get this sense of supremacy because, matlab, things were great, but it was great because our ancestors were in power. So that's like a part two of that line. Okay.
Yeah. The silent
So
part, the quiet part.
exactly. So that is the thing that
Hmm.
that this unification of the Trads and Commies
Hmm.
is happening because of both of their political programs. Now, if
Yes.
somebody like
Hmm.
Dumo appeals to both of them, it is because strangely, Dumo was inspired by a dude. I don't remember, Guénon, Guenon, Guénon,
Hmm.
Rene Guénon. He was
Hmm.
an Indologist. I think you can just look him up online once.
Hmm.
Rene Guénon of
Hmm.
France. Okay.
Hmm.
Now he was a completely rubbish Indologist. Okay, he made up
Achi.
stuff. He
Okay.
was a big fan of Pope Pius XI or somebody. Okay, and he said
Acha.
India is the one example where Brahmins dominate above
Hmm.
Kshatriyas and everybody else.
Hmm.
मतलब उसके पास कोई proof नहीं था, ऐसे ही बोल दिया. Okay,
Hmm.
and he said he was a conservative. He was conservative pro max in France.
Hmm.
Okay. No,
Hmm.
Rene Guéron is also this thing, an Indologist, not just a mathematician. So
Okay.
Renee, as far as I remember reading, there are a set of papers I will send to Neerajan. You guys will like reading it. I think
Hmm.
you should make a list of the papers I've been talking about today.
Hmm.
This thing, Lardinois, that's the guy who from where I got to know. So Dumo
Okay.
was influenced by a, very conservative thinker of France, who himself
Hmm.
was disowned by French academia.
Okay.
Okay, French academia did not want this guy. They
Okay.
were like, ये बहुत बकवास है. Let's not take him seriously.
Hmm.
Okay. So he was kicked out of the EHESS, which is in Paris, which is one of the like in the Sorbonne, like under the Sorbonne, which is one of the like oldest universities in the world. So
I
he
see.
said, यार इंडिया में history है ही नहीं. A lot
Acha.
of the French sociologists said इंडिया में कोई history है ही नहीं,
Yeah.
because Indians are ruled by this colonial mentality,
Hmm.
this casteist mentality.
Hmm.
So this was done by Bougle. There was this Bougle or whatever. It's a French name. Okay.
Hmm.
So that dude, he used to say that this thing कि मतलब India में caste is normal because
Hmm.
everyone here thinks like a community. What Anand Sridhar is saying.
Hmm.
Now, because people think like a community, and because people are basically, that's one word for saying matlab dumb. You're dumb. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
once you say that, matlab religion में मिल गया तुमको, then what you prove is that these people need to be reformed. They need to be
Yeah.
taken out of the darkness into the light. Okay.
Yes.
The light can be any kind of light. मतलब Christian
Yeah.
light हो सकता है, communist light हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है.
Yeah.
But this establishment of the fact that there were trads, matlab Dumo was essentially a trad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And he
Because remember, it's something that even trads don't understand. Dumo wasn't saying those things as a harsh criticism because he hated these bloody Indians. He said this as an appreciation that, wow, see, it's such a nice, interesting society that they were so innocently religious. They were such cute. Like in every movie, for a time being, there has been a trend that the city folk living, who's sort of rich, has a stable job and stuff, he is definitely the asshole if he comes to face to face with an indigenous or a tribal person anywhere in the world. That tribal person or the poorer person is fucking inherently good man, is a good man. He can't be a bad human being. Every tribal or indigenous person, all the day, all he does is worship some mountain or tree, and he's a nice man. That's the stereotype. That's the soft bigotry of low expectations as well, which is where Mortoshan's argument comes in, that yes, West ke liye hard science, hamare liye spirituality, etc. And that's the kind of that's the kind of tone Dumo actually took. He was not criticizing India for those things. He was just observing that yes, this is what it is. Trads ने उसको compliment के तौर पे भी ले लिया.
Lardinois says that Dumo upheld the dharmic view of the caste system. Now, when you say dharmic, he read some dharma shastras and concluded that मतलब ये dharma shastra में जो लिखा है पूरा एकदम मार दो, एकदम चपाचप xerox करवा दो. हाँ. But that's the whole thing there. When we read Dipankar Gupta, when we read Quigley, when we read other texts, okay, nobody, like not even 1% people believe in the the diktats of the Brahmins in the Dharma Shastras. That's why they couldn't understand what's happening. And that's why Dumo falls flat every time.
And who your informers are when you are researching India, उसका caste क्या है, that and कहाँ का caste का आदमी है, also that matters. So Dumo's informers were casteist trads maybe, who believed in caste-based bad behavior because of their religion.
Colonial anthropologists, they didn't do a proper anthropology. So what they did was they used to go to a Brahmin deliberately. They thought that Brahmin छोड़ के कोई educated है ही नहीं, तो चलो Brahmin के पास. So, and I'm not looking down on Brahmins for this. I'm just saying कि
yes,
you got played essentially. You got kind of played, except in West Bengal. West Bengal में तुम लोग भाई अच्छे खेल दिए. हाँ, you guys became commies. That's nice. But if you forget that aspect, Brahmins were taken for a ride in many ways. Like they gave their knowledge to the Europeans, and then Europeans said, "Yeah, bhai, tum hi ho feudal lord. Chalo, feudal lord, whatever crap, religious lord ho.
deep state.
तुम ही deep state हो भाई." हाँ, and they were like, "हाँ, हम ही deep state है भाई." And they got screwed. So,
and imagine the population imbalance. Even today, the Brahmin population is 4.5%. Okay, most of them are not that rich. most of them are not educated and never have been. Like the Kulkarnis of Maharashtra were an uneducated Brahmin caste. They were just the
Yeah.
matlab koi kul ka karnadhar sort of a person who used to
Yeah,
keep
yeah, yeah.
the data and stuff for families. The Pandey, Panda, all those surnames are basically the same profession. तो इन सबको लगा yes हम deep state है, we that
अरे
2%
राजपाल
of the
यादव का था ना,
4.5%,
मैं हूँ
we control India.
वो, Anand, first we need to stop mixing up with Varnik Brahmins from Shastriyas to Jati Brahmin.
Right.
See, this again, you're caught in, again, you're right, but you're kind of caught up in that tautology. Brahmins sometimes were administrators, bro. They were not even doing a lot of Dharma Shastra and all that stuff. They were learning Persian and Arabic. Many of them became bureaucrats. Matlab, UPSC officers.
Yes.
You have to understand that was not like, matlab, tum bhi computer sikhe ho na. So it's not a new thing that these guys were doing. But this is what the British did not highlight and Dumo did not highlight. If Brahmins were so concerned about purity and pollution, then why were they reading Arabic or Persian? मतलब वो तो म्लेच्छों का language है ना. They should, all the more not read
Right. Yes.
Right. Why were they doing that? Why were they dining with Muslims and then getting kicked out and then paying Brahmins again and then coming back into the fold in different ways? मतलब कुछ तो होगा ना. ये purity pollution का story नहीं है. ये पूरा है power का story. And if it's power story, then India is not at all unique in that sense. Power struggles have happened everywhere. Every part of the globe.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, it's because of Buddhism that farmers who are getting called Vaishyas in one era, a few years later, few centuries or decades later, get called Shudras because they are bad people for knowingly or unknowingly killing insects while doing farming or being in those professions where animal killing is necessary. Let's say like hunting and for leather and skin, because except Gaumata, everyone's skin was used anyway. हर वक्त क्या कॉटन के कपड़े पहन के घूमते थे थोड़ी. तो उसको कौन शूद्रा घोषणा करता है? बुद्धिस्ट. और ये कौन पॉइंट आउट कर रहा है? इरफान हबीब. तो but commies won't even listen to Irfan Habib if he says those things. Now there's one very important.
See, commies, the problem with the trads is, or us in general is, Hindus in general is, मतलब अभी जो लोग रेड पिल्ड हो जाएंगे ना, वो इरफान हबीब पढ़ेंगे ही नहीं. That's the other thing. Irfan Habib, matlab, he must be some. Arey, hoga. His politics is there, but sometimes you got to separate the art from the artist, right? You can't. I mean, you got to do that sometimes. You have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're losing out on hundreds and thousands of good research that supports your views.
Yeah.
Precisely.
And because like if I had to listen to only musicians who are not leftists, then I would not be listening to any music at all, maybe. So now there's one very, very important factor which again, people who don't understand much of economics or only understand some sort of skewed up version of socialism as sort of biblical truth in economics, which is state incentivization of things. They refuse to acknowledge that there's anything that anything can happen on the basis of state or any way of incentivizing or disincentivizing things. Because I would argue, and you have argued as well, that the amount of caste-based identity, remembrance of identity, caste-based identities and family hierarchies of the past, and the way it's maintained today in its cosplaying and fancy dress party versions, because today those castes don't interpret in the same way to status in India, in the villages of India, but they maintain it anyway just for the sake of it. Why then? That's where state incentivization comes in. Now, since this episode is largely a recap of what we have been discussing for 7-8 months, so anyone listening for the very first time to our arguments, clarify for them, how does state incentivization help in reinforcing casteism, but also give the other side of the argument that, let's say, an upper caste person in West Bengal or in any person of the or in any part of the country who is sort of like, you can't touch my feet and because of this and that, or you can't marry based on this and that. So the upper caste who's not really getting any state incentivization to be an upper caste bad behavior sort of a casteist person, then why is even he going on with that? Explain both sides of this state incentivization thing.
देखो, I hearken back to the works of Samuel Clarke. Okay. And indirectly, you should also read Timothy Lubin's 2023 paper on this thing, how land grants cemented Brahmin status in by the state institutionalization of. He says it without referring to Clarke. Now Samuel
okay.
Clarke says कि मतलब state structure जो है, now don't confuse state with nation. Okay, state मतलब
Right.
एक entity where there's a king or a lord or a kind of president, prime minister कुछ है. There
This
is
is state
a,
with capital S.
yeah, there is a defined geographical area, possibly an army,
Yes.
apparatus of taxation, all that. Okay, मतलब
Hmm.
remember any country now. Okay, so state
Yeah.
hai.
Yeah.
Now states are not new. States are a very old thing. States
Hmm.
came and went. था खत्म हो गया ऐसा है. Now what this one says is, Clark says is, in Europe at least, what happened is when states come up, मतलब राजा का कुछ लोग तो, some people are close to the guy, some people are close to the kings and the feudal lords. So these guys, they get high status ranks. They are aristocrats, they are nobles. Yeah, this part is fairly simple. Okay. Now what happens is, he says that this state institutionalization of status is what creates ranks in society. Matlab Raja, let's say you are a dacoit, but you helped a king come to power. Once the king is in power, then he says, "Ah, bhai, Nirajan mera best friend hai." Okay. Then what happens is you become a noble. Now once you become a noble, somebody writes your new genealogy, matlab sab bana diya tumko ekdam chakachak अच्छा आदमी बना दिया, सब कुछ कर दिया, हाँ. And then you say, हाँ भाई हम तो बहुत pure ये थे वो बहुत कुछ थे, हाँ. Then you pretend to be this great person who was born into greatness, because पहले वो qualification है तुम्हारा brain में क्या है. पहले earlier days what qualified you for the job of administration was your father, who he was. Okay.
Yeah.
मतलब even if you became a administrator par excellence, or you became a feudal lord, you had to justify कि मतलब कोई तो था मेरे family में who was the lord. Okay. So this was very common in early societies.
Yeah.
So what Samuel Clarke says is कि मतलब ये जो feudal lords है in Europe, they got their status institutionalized, so that's how it created status hierarchies in Europe.
Yeah. I see.
Now, if you remember what Shomo they said, Dr. Shomo, they said to you that the land grants to Brahmins, okay, and even other non-Brahmins also got land grants, by the way, but they were feudal lords essentially. They were Kshatriyas, many of them other professions. Brahmins also got land grants. Buddhist monasteries got land grants. Okay, now once Brahmins got land grants, that institution, मतलब वो क्या है? Professor getting tenure, you're getting a job, you're getting paid a nice amount, you're getting permanent job. Okay, UPSC exam.
And government quarter. Government quarter is land grant only.
Exactly. Government quarter with servants, ये सब tax collect करो, अपने आप रहो, पूरा बिंदास रहो. हाँ, मेरे लिए कुछ कभी कभी पूजा पाठ कर देना, मेरे लिए किताब लिख देना. हाँ, वो सब कर देना, थोड़ा एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कर देना, थोड़ा बहुत. This is how it worked. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this created that thing where being a Brahmin became important. Like, matlab, being a Brahmin or being an administrator in the state, through hereditary qualification, even Caestos fell under that same thing.
Yeah.
That worked for these people. Okay. Like that established their official status. Okay. Niner will, Niner will maar khayega. So what happened after that is things changed after in the British era and then later on. Okay.
Yeah.
It became useless to be a Brahmin. because now you are blamed for everything. तुम खुद का कबर खोदे हो थोड़ा सा और
Yes, Sumit Guha mentioned that, and he mentioned in the bracket that you remember Dumo said that everyone is religious all the time, and see, jab waqt aaya, when push came to shove, the first salary that gets deducted in the entire village is that of the
the Pandit.
Purohit, and
Yeah,
in the bracket he says pays Dumo.
exactly. So the same way as these feudal lords in India, the pre-modern India were there, their status, so it's always been a fight for resources. That's what you must understand.
Right.
जो आइडेंटिटी स्टेट को अच्छा लगेगा वो आइडेंटिटी प्रमोट करेगा. मतलब स्टेट लाइक
Yes.
मुस्लिम, स्टेट लाइक दलित, सो यू आइदर
Yeah.
बी मुस्लिम और दलित, फिर तुमको
Yeah.
बेनिफिट मिलेगा, मतलब नहीं, और नहीं मिलेगा. इफ यू आर ब्राह्मण यू गेट
Yes.
एससी एसटी, स्क्रू यू.
Yes.
So
and this is also something that the Raita wing doesn't understand, that you see they are so united, they are so religious, they go to Hajj, they go to madrasa. भोसरी के सब हमारे टैक्स के वजह से हो रहा है, टैक्स इंसेंटिवाइजेशन की वजह से हो रहा है,
You
गवर्नमेंट
stop
उसको पैसा दे रहा है रिलीजियस
incentivizing-
बनने के लिए.
you stop incentivizing an
Yeah.
identity.
देखते हैं कितना यूनाइटेड रहेगा कोई.
Everything will change. Everything
Yeah.
will change. Okay, पैसों के पैसा and privilege and jobs.
Yes.
These are
Convenience.
always motivated people to pretend to be somebody else.
Yes.
Okay, it is nothing new. Okay.
Yeah.
One question on job incentivization: has reservation pushed upper caste to higher paying private sector jobs while OBCs are scrambling for? ये देखो. Now this is very
I don't agree
interesting.
with the first half, but the second half actually might be true. That they are not even trying that hard for the more paying job, because you are going to get this easier and safer. Because that's also what something Irfan Habib pointed out. Remember that horizontal mobility भी नहीं है, upward mobility भी नहीं है, मगर है job guarantee. तब चलो सबको casteism से
exactly.
कोई problem नहीं है.
You have to understand one thing. See, it's not always so incentives जो है, when our SC/ST population becomes whatever, when they are trying to come up, so it's like I said, they are not dumb, right? Like when Dumo said that ये लोग सब मान लेते हैं, ब्राह्मण जो बोलते हैं सब मान लेते हैं, that is not true, of course, right? Again, another stupid thing. Now what happened is, when the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, they got the opportunity to become kind of permanent job wale feudal lords or whatever, they were like, हाँ भाई किसी और को मिला था, we'll now get it, big deal, right? It's more guaranteed for us. Yeah. So that is the logic that works, in my opinion. Okay. Which is also another reason why so many people rush. There's a mad rush for government jobs among all classes. ये भी सही नहीं है कि upper caste also try for government jobs. It's just they know that it's getting more difficult as the days go.
Yeah, थोड़ा disincentivization है वहाँ पे.
Yeah, the more reservations, the more difficult it is for upper caste. So वो अलग बात है. But the truth is that you cannot. So the identity is being preserved because of the benefits that identity has.
Yes.
If the government was एकदम trad pro max की सब ब्राह्मण बनो, सब भूल जाओ, जाति वाति सब भूल जाओ, बटेंगे तो कटेंगे, सब everyone pretend to be a Hindu, everyone do puja part every day, you would have all done it. We would have all done it.
Yeah.
Because incentive state उसका दे रहा था. The state, after the British left, the state was like, if you are a Hindu, you are screwed. We will make laws against you. We will legislate against you. We will shame you for your so-called past. जो भी है, you stop trying to be a Hindu because of that. Yeah. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So
now, check out how brilliant Niner's this comment is, because remember that paper I told you about, sent by that other secret sociologist, and that paper, which we are going to discuss in a few days, is based exactly on this. And I did not get it for the first few moments that I read it. I thought, wait, isn't this a good thing? So I have to clarify what the paper is. The paper is about how, when right after independence, Hindu leaders and lower caste Hindu leaders, so-called lower caste Hindu leaders, I can't even decide whether I'll be politically correct or not. So anyway, allegedly lower caste Hindu leaders say that they want lots of reservations for lower caste people, and everyone kind of agrees. No Muslim leader, no Christian leader says we want reservations for our lower caste people in our religion as well. So after going through the abstract and the headline 2-3 times, going through the conclusion 2-3 times, I thought, yes, that's, I guess, a good thing, because in the end, as a libertarian, I know reservations are a bad thing only if it is not taken by anyone. It can't be just for one, of course. But also, since they changed their religion because of being oppressed in one religion, why should they get those allegedly unfair benefits when they go to a different religion? But you see, that paper actually points out exactly what Nina is kind of noticing here, that they did not want their kind of, I mean, the kind of incentives and stable structure that they have created for themselves, which gives a good life to the upper castes of those religions. In order to not fuck with that, in order to let the dominant caste be the dominant caste, which is something that's done by every political party in the country except BJP, for those reasons, they did not want reservations for the people in their religion, for the lower castes in their religion, even though their so alleged oppression has gone on for forever, for 5,000 years, even if they changed their religion 5 minutes back. So Nino is pointing out that then government recognizing castes among Muslims. Okay, yeah, I can't read that out. So anyway, uh, uh, do you agree with this statement then, about the topic of the paper and what?
It has the potential to create conflict. I will agree. I thought of the same thing actually. That if the SC/ST benefits are extended to Pasmandas, now that is a limited, again, that is a limited resource, right? You must think of jobs as a
Yes.
resource. So if it
Yes.
is a limited resource and you're putting more members possible in that same group, then one of two things will happen.
Yeah.
Either the SC/STs have to fight back for their benefits that they got in the recent past, or they have to acknowledge that there is caste in Islam. One of the two things will happen. I don't think the
Yeah.
latter will happen. And think about this in a converse manner. Okay, it's not just about the job thing. It proves what we were trying to say. Muslims have caste. Yes, everyone knows. They know also quite well.
Every academic knows.
Everyone knows. मतलब अभी तो सब जानते हैं thanks to Pasmanda love.
Except Hindus, I think everyone knows. Academics know, commies
Hindus
know,
भी
Muslims
आजकल
know.
जान रहे हैं. It's not
Yeah, yeah.
as bad as it
It's
was
a brand
earlier,
new
but
knowledge,
there
of
is a
course.
different
Yeah.
there is a different problem to this. You see, because their non-caste religious identity was promoted by the state. That is
Right,
the
right,
identity that has come to dominate in recent times.
Yes.
So it proves my point that if the state of India were to promote a non-caste Hindu identity in the post-British era, then we would not have so much infighting of castes among us. It is a state institutionalization of caste status of certain
Yes.
lower caste individuals
Yes.
that has created the reason, the incentive for
Yes.
people identifying as these groups.
Yes. Which
Or
is
wanting
something
the same benefit.
the Christians and Muslims were intelligent enough, I guess, to not want.
They said that हमको incentive दो, but only
हमको
for
दो.
the Christians or Muslims.
Yes. Now, this point of Anand puts me in a morally difficult position, because, of course, I agree with him as well, as a libertarian, as a fellow libertarian. Now, we'll have to make a distinction between good and evil, or the world beyond good and evil, and sometimes think like a politician with shrewd intentions, and sometimes think like an idealist. In an ideal world, yes, Anand is right, and that paper is also wrong for pointing those things out, I guess. But the things we are claiming will happen is sort of important, and sort of will happen if what you don't want to happen happens. What do we do about that? How do we deal with this, the ideal scenario versus not the ideal scenario?
No, so मतलब ideal scenario तो कभी होगा नहीं दुनिया में. There the governments always, वही तो problem है with Samuel Clark's. Once you understand this dilemma, you have to understand that every state will always necessarily promote certain groups of people. अभी जैसे देखो, in DEI, now this is very interesting. If you fill out job forms, I heard in the US, they always ask nowadays if you're Latino or not, because Latinos are the fastest growing minority population in the US. Okay,
right.
Now, if you put Latinos in positions of power in every party and every place, it incentivizes. Now, imagine if your father is white and mother is Latino, let's say, but you can identify as Latino, it will get you benefits. So then you will start talking and walking and thinking and drinking and sleeping, eating like a Latino. Okay, because you will have to
Yeah.
identify as Latino, right?
Yeah.
मतलब जो इंसेंटिव देगा, हर कोई स्टेट इंसेंटिव देता है, हर कोई स्टेट, ऐसा नहीं है कि
Hence, Yangre has an afro.
हाँ, मतलब वहां पे being just Dalit is not enough, you have to be Afro Dalit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. That is the other problem. You see, uh, if the state structures exist, which is why I guess libertarians are right in a way, but it will never happen. Like what libertarians want will never happen. मतलब जो नॉर्मल जो स्टेट है, जो ट्रेडिशनल स्टेट है, that will always have its own version of privilege which it grants to certain people hereditarily. It will always have that, always. कोई स्टेट नहीं है दुनिया में जो ये नहीं किया है.
That is true. The stuff mentioned by Barbarika Smriti as well as Abhay, although Barbarika Smriti said it as a joke, but Abhay seems more of a serious comment. But you see, both actually make sense. I think if at all those things happen, they can go this way as well.
हाँ, वो भी हो सकता है. But again, you have to understand, if you have a dilemma here. If you are supporting, if the government is then supporting madrasas and mosques, then again it's roundabout. You are saying that it's, you are promoting a certain identity as a government,
Yes,
which is always going to create other problems. If you promote any kind of identity, okay. Now the sad thing is that government has to promote some identity or the other. Abhi government के पास choice भी नहीं है to not promote certain identities, which is what puts parties like BJP in a dilemma, because they try to do non-dominant caste politics, and sometimes it does pay off, but it is never going to resolve the problem. मतलब ये अलग caste को बना के कुछ करेंगे, खिचड़ी बनाएंगे, कुछ करेंगे. Some Congress is going for dominant caste, somebody is going for this, somebody is going for Pasmanda. The problem is that it keeps the identities alive. Okay. And there is no end to this. There will never be an end to this. As long as
I hate this depressive talk. I'm not going to let you continue further on this in this direction of depression. We will become libertarian someday. We shall overcome. But this comment of Anand is also important, that we need less reservations, obviously, be it Hindu or Islam or Christianity. The problem we have right now is that only one kind of oppression is being recognized, and in the garb of that, only one community is being incentivized to not be united. But if at all the state can push the reservations only for poor people, they have started the narrative, they are paying lip service to it, at least that's a start. Do you think someday it can come down to that only poor people get reservation of any religion?
No, I mean the anti-creamy layer thing was kind of right.
Oh yeah, that got shot down by the government itself. I forgot. Yes.
No, that they shot it down because सामने बिहार इलेक्शन है, महाराष्ट्र कौन भाई कौन अपने पैर में कुल्हाड़ी. I think they planned कि 400 पार हो जाएगा, ये कर देंगे, and then the memo didn't go through. Okay, and then 400 पार नहीं हुआ. And they were like, अरे इलेक्शन है सामने, बचाओ. Okay,
yeah,
so they got screwed, and that's fine. That this happens. This means that there is provision for the non-creamy layers, but
right.
it won't get enacted right now, I guess.
Yeah, and the justifications, explanations they gave for that non-criminal thing, it was insanely hilarious anyway. Oh my god, that made me puke. There is such great scholarship on those things.
Economic if at all economic reservation there, मतलब यही एक चीज बाकी रह गया है. And economics always changes. That's the other problem. Like, let's say you uplift one family, one generation.
That's what.
Then that's gone, right?
Yeah,
you don't
it
get
has
perpetual
to be
hereditary
right. It can't be
reservation. So
perpetual.
ये भी एक अलग मतलब पूरा लोचा है अलग से.
That what Sanjeev Sanyal says about Bengali leftist economics, that what they have done is who push povertarianism, that हम गरीब है और माँ कसम हमेशा गरीब रहेंगे. That's the incentive that will come about then. Now Niner has an important question. Yeah, go on.
Think of it that way, that in the US, when you had reservations, priority admissions for legacies in American colleges and universities, the same thing is now being done in reverse. Ki DEI मार देंगे, वहां पे थोड़ा जो एलिट ब्लैक्स, एलिट एशियंस वगैरह है,
Yeah.
इनको घुसा देंगे, लैटिनोस है उनको
Yes.
घुसा देंगे. मतलब
Yes.
it's the same logic, it just benefits the elites in, it benefits a more diverse group of elites if you think of it that way. That's what
Yeah.
reservation does. एक टाइप ऑफ एलिट से लेकर 10 टाइप ऑफ एलिट को, मतलब एलिट को ही मिलेगा,
Exactly.
but it will just be more different kinds of elites, more
Yes.
multicolored elites basically.
Yes. Now, Nina's question is important here, that are incentives alone from state, or does civil society also make incentives? Very good question. Off the top
Very
of my
good.
head, my opinion is that civil society's incentives are also indirectly incentivized first by the state, then civil society makes its own incentives. But what's your answer?
Precisely what I was going to say. The
Okay.
state institutionalizes an identity, and then it becomes a discourse. Okay. So even you know, क्या बोलूं मैं, even if let's say when they incentivized being Brahmins and then Islamic State took over. Okay. ये क्या है, BNUB?
Oh, he meant nub.
Oh, hit
that
the
you
nub.
hit it on the head. You nailed it.
यार नॉर्मल लिखो ना, hit it on the head. क्या
No, he's libertarian, highly educated NRI Tamil Brahmin. He is not going to speak in normal people lingo.
हाँ सही है. तो ठीक है, गुड टू नो, हिट इट ऑन द नब. एनीवे, सो माय पॉइंट इज दैट, क्या बोलूं मैं, सो सिविल सोसाइटी, हाँ. सो यू सी व्हाट हैपेंस इज, so Samaj in Bengal, okay, if you read Donald Tinden and Swarupa Gupta, their work on Samaj, will again, ये आज इतना पेपर मतलब याद आ रहा है ना, you should re-watch it and make this thing or a list of it. So Samaj क्या हुआ, because the state retreated, the Hindu state was destroyed, right, like by the Sena government.
Yeah.
क्या हुआ, जमींदार मिलके, ब्राह्मण मिलके, they made this thing, they made the Samaj or society, जो basically civil society था उन दिनों में, club, exclusive club. उस club में they used to rank jatis, they used to rank people. Get it? So
nice.
And different castes have different clubs also. मतलब ब्राह्मण, उत्तर राडियो ব্রাহ্মণ আছে, হ্যাঁ, দক্ষিণ বারেন্দ্র কায়স্থ আছে, হ্যাঁ, something like that. Like there were areas where like मतलब कैलकाटा क्लब है, टॉली क्लब है, ये क्लब है, वो क्लब है, ऐसा टाइप का, हाँ. And these club memberships you could get only by being like oiling the right people, being friends or married to the right kind of person. So that's what it says कि मतलब ये जो स्टेट सैंक्शन था वो जब चला गया, then the समाज became the upholder of caste. So इसलिए उनको लगता था कि रिलीजियन के वजह, एक्चुअली रिलीजियन नहीं है, उसमें भी इंसेंटिव है. ये जो लोग हैं इन सब क्लब्स में, like what is the incentive for me taking a membership in Tolly club? Why would I take a membership in Tolly club?
I have not figured out up until this day what's the point of these clubs. You won't be able to,
because तुम भाई subaltern आदमी हो, तुमको नहीं फिगर आउट होगा, तुमसे ना होगा बेटा, हाँ. ये जब तक सिनेमा देखते रहेंगे ये सब नहीं होगा. तो what I'm saying is that you subaltern, like you won't be able to know, even I won't be able to, because I'm also technically subaltern right now. My point is कि ये जो टॉली क्लब में लोग जाते हैं ना, या बिजनेस डील्स होता है, गोल्फ क्लब में लोग जाते हैं, बिजनेस डील्स होता है, बड़ा जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर वगैरह, शादी,
ऐसे नीना gets it. Our non-commie भद्रलोक gets it.
Yes, so that is the thing. ये जो समाज है ना, बेसिकली क्लब था, but ये क्लब को क्या बना दिया, because sometimes Brahmins used to dominate, and because British took over Bengal first and Brahmins were the dominant caste here, मतलब if they took over Rajasthan, they would think कि Kshatriyas are ruling, because Kshatriyas were the rulers there.
Yes.
If they took over, because they took over Bengal, the Brahmins dominated. They were like, हाँ, ब्राह्मण सबसे हेड है, और ब्राह्मण क्यों हेड है, क्योंकि ये सब चुतिया है, हाँ. This is the logic they used. Okay, so this is why Samaj is, so civil society upholds caste in its own ways.
Yes.
But it is usually following state diktats and state doctrines.
Right.
And state
which is
plays
why
a big part in it always.
Which is why casteism is alive in Bengal, because it's the civil society ensuring that lower caste people get killed in political deaths and political riots, and upper caste remain in positions of influence and power.
पूरा देखो, नीनर तुमसे ज्यादा जानता है ये सब के बारे में. तुम सबाल्टर्न आदमी, कम्युनिस्ट आदमी, तुमसे नहीं होगा.
You see, no, I won't get into unnecessarily controversial points today. No, but I think this is important to point out that one of these days, I had a conversation with Mr. Sociologist and remembered all of a sudden that since I was born in a non-casteist West Bengal, I never thought about caste. All my friends, they have no idea what their caste is. Gotra to kisi ko pata nahi hai. Especially because my friends are all leftist commies and stuff. I asked an AI engineer friend of mine what's his caste. After finding out so much about caste and stuff, he said general. And then I asked, then I said that, do you know you are beneficiaries of oppression of and my ancestors and ancestors of other lower castes? He said, from what, from which book? I said Manusmriti. He said, what the fuck is that? But anyway, you see why Pierre Bourdieu is so fucking awesome. That consumption patterns matter. Habitus matters. It's about what you eat, how you eat it. It's about what you consume, what sport you watch and how you watch it. It's about what sport you play and how you play it. Based on those things, your caste changes. Now, an upwardly mobile Banya caste guy will always make friends with caste heterodox people of upper caste groups. Okay, that's always something that happens. By caste heterodox, I mean, let's say, who are not following the general conformist patterns of the kinds of professions that those upper castes get into. Okay, and remembering these things, when I thought about the castes of all my friends, girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, not girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, crushes and stuff, I realized I don't have a
फंस गया
single.
आदमी, फंस गया तू ऑनलाइन. ठीक है.
I realized that I don't have a single non-Brahmin Boiddo Kayasto friend or ex-girlfriend or ex-crush, ever, ex anything. Okay, I have dated one, I think, ST girl, but that's it. And with that girl also, the relationship stuck about 1 or 2 months. But everyone else in my consumption pattern has been Brahman, Boiddo or Kayasto. Now, am I a casteist for doing these things? No, this is how consumption patterns work. And
Yes.
my caste and my consumption pattern changed because I studied in a convent. That's the source of my caste jump. Because, and therefore, I don't have a single Shaha friend myself. I can't relate to most of my family. And you see, that's how consumption patterns work. Now, what about you, Mr. Sociologist?
मैं कुछ ज्यादा डिटेल्स दूंगा तो मेरा आइडेंटिटी पता चल जाएगा, बट आई विल टेल
Yeah.
एवरीवन टू वॉच दिस वंडरफुल सीरीज कॉल्ड द गिल्डेड एज. इट्स ऑन जियो सिनेमा. आई एम प्रमोटिंग द जियो राइट नाउ. एनीवे, आई एम नॉट. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग गिल्डेड एज में यही सब हो रहा है. ये जो एक्सक्लूसिव कास्ट, एक्सक्लूसिव क्लब्स एंड ऑल दिस कंजम्पशन पैटर्न मिला के जो हो रहा है, द मेट गाला इन न्यूयॉर्क, that is completely made by because मतलब जो upwardly mobile जो caste थे, status group थे, they were not being accepted by the older New Yorkers. Okay, the older New Yorkers, हम अलग ही बात है, and they never married these newer मतलब new money people.
This is the second part of the thing I found out about myself and my circle, which is that though those people in those upper castes who used to be my girlfriends or used to be my friends, who were conformists, who were not the caste heterodoxes, they did not remain friends or even friends as ex-girlfriends for me for all these years. They married other Brahmins, Boiddos and Kaistos and moved on with their lives. I am not in touch with any of them. That's the fun part. All my friends are all the crazy ones in their caste, because everyone in their families and their caste would say, what the fuck are what kind of a life are you leading, what kind of a profession have you gotten into? Those kinds of people are my friends today.
नहीं, वही है कि if you start looking at this in Bengali society, it's much more complex because it's hidden. So many dimensions of it are hidden. Matlab,
Yeah.
and like you said that in Uttar Pradesh, if somebody does caste-based bad behavior, status-based bad behavior, then there are immediately मतलब बहुत social capital है, ये है वो है. यहाँ पे लोगों को पता ही नहीं चलता है. लोग people are not even aware. But consumption pattern लेके discrimination होता है. Imagine if somebody is watching a horrible those 90s Bengali movies, and I have seen this actually, and this is not just I saw this Brahmin guy only, but he's from a rural part of Bengal.
So
He
no
was
proximity to power.
No proximity to power, precisely. So this guy was watching a 90s were Bengali movies where Proshenjit and all these people are there, and I felt like I kind of judged him in
Right.
my own way. Like I was like, what the hell? Okay, this guy is supposed to be educated, but he's watching this crap. Okay,
Yeah.
but exactly, Baba Kano Chakur. Huh? So the thing is that what I then that day itself I realized is that bhai, it has nothing to do with your caste, your Chatterjee Banerjee, kuch nahi hai. Your proximity to power is the main thing, and I have been lucky to be have some proximity to power in some ways. So what happened is I was able to develop a consumption pattern that was putting me in a higher status position. और यहाँ पे Max Weber, Bourdieu, more importantly, becomes so useful. And there, if you apply these methods in India and in England and all other countries, okay, you will see that it works more or less. It works precisely.
So
ये
Nina is
अलग
actually
बात है,
pointing
देखो,
out something
ये
interesting.
why do we keep talking about caste in Bengal? ये बंगाली जो कुछ some people keep attacking us, okay, that why are you shitting on your own kind, okay? Why? Because you guys keep telling everyone you guys are superior, morally superior. Okay, you aren't. That's the problem. If you acknowledge the problems in Bengal, we would have been so much more developed and better by now. Okay.
Yes.
Better in that sense, like better in the economic sense, in the developmental sense.
Yes.
You
don't acknowledge any of your problems.
Exactly. And Bengal is backwards because you guys did not accept, did not acknowledge these problems because you guys were at the helm.
Yeah.
Now
the only reason they now acknowledge that Bengal does not have industry is because most of these people, the loudmouths on Facebook and stuff, are descendants from CPIM families. Now they have become pro-capitalism only because Buddhadev Bhattacharya asked for a factory in Shingur. Otherwise, they would not say those things.
And they are beneficiaries of it, right? Again, they are benefiting from it because they are the ones who are getting MNC jobs. The lower caste bongs, when they go out, let's say they go to Uttar Pradesh or when UP is developing now quite fast. So when they go to UP, they will get the laborer jobs. They will get the hard work wala jobs. Whereas a bong guy who is a Bhadralok, who is educated in English, when he goes to UP, he will get the the white collar job, the more office wala, AC office wala job.
Yes.
So you have to see that's the thing. Like this is how it's happening across Bengal. The caste Bengal में सबसे मजा यही है कि the caste configurations are the same as class configurations. यही मजे का बात है, which you keep pointing out.
Yeah.
Okay, those who were powerful in medieval Bengal are still powerful.
Yes, those families.
यही problem है. मतलब जो the Jats who were actually lower caste in medieval India are now very powerful in North India thanks to
a variety of things.
Post neoliberalism and all that stuff, post 90s liberalism, capitalism in Gurgaon, all that stuff that helped Jats
right, exactly,
even more powerful, even more wealthy.
Yes.
But that is not happening in Bengal. Okay.
Yes.
So
disruption bhi nahi hai.
We are stuck in the medieval period. We are still
nothing is disrupting this rigid system. Not system, rigid structure.
Exactly.
And you see, Nina is coming up with brilliant points one after the other. Somebody give him an honorary master's in sociology. Nina is saying, well, is there a hierarchy among regions then? Are Bengal Brahmins closer to power than other regions? That's the exact same way Brahminism used to operate even in the yesteryears. Ujjain Brahmins were more important and stuff. Today there are classifications of Radi Brahmin and stuff.
They were lucky that what happened is, so Calcutta did not have a lot of Brahmins and upper castes. Okay. What happened is Calcutta was basically a marshland, swampy area, marshland kind of a place. Ekdam, matlab jungle type tha basically. So when Job Charnock and these guys established the city, a lot of, so how many of those guys were even there? Maybe 2,000-3,000 people. So there उनको सर्विस देने के लिए हजारों लोग आए गांव से. Because Bengal was already colonized, this was not new. Working for colonizers is nothing new. Okay. So what happened is a lot of these guys, they started coming to Calcutta and they started buying up the cheap land here. And many of them built houses, very small houses. मतलब ये मतलब बहुत बड़ा घर नहीं है, but उसके ऊपर floor पे floor बनाते गए. Which is why Calcutta you will see is very unplanned city. Okay. Calcutta is not at all planned, especially North Calcutta. Okay. So a lot of the village Brahmins and village Kaistos and village Buddhis, they came and settled here overnight. And because of permanent settlement, a lot of the old zamindaris and their mechanisms were completely displaced. So new urban zamindars came up who bought zamindaris from rural Bengal in different parts of rural. Tagore was one of them. Okay. So
Yeah.
what happened is that मतलब कलकत्ता में रहते थे लेकिन feudal economy चल रहा है तुम्हारा गांव में. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Passive income.
हाँ पैसिव इनकम चल रहा था. और यहाँ पे क्या कर रहा था, यहाँ पे कविता लिख रहे थे तुम, मतलब लॉर्ड्स के साथ बैठ के चाय वाय पीते थे. हाँ, यूज्ड टू वॉच नॉच गर्ल्स, यूज्ड टू हैव मदिरा, दैट काइंड ऑफ
Devdas. Think of Devdas, guys. Pictureize,
हाँ,
visualize Devdas in your mind.
Devdas Mukherjee, right?
Yes.
Quintessential Brahmin Bhadralok. Okay. Shona, whatever. So this kind of stuff they used to do because they had passive income essentially, and some of them were government employees. But the poorer of the lot, what happened is they used to work for the British firms.
Yeah.
So they also got kind of like passive income, active income ही था, लेकिन अच्छा था. So when urbanism dominated, when villages were just treated as like, मतलब villages को parasitically Calcutta used to treat, that's when Calcutta became Calcutta.
Extractive capitalism.
ये capitalism है, ये is a form of, in a very weird way, this is a form of colonialism, feudalism also.
Extractive colonialism, actually. Yes.
Yeah, it is not capitalism, it's not free market, because the British were enjoying certain rights. The British and other these Bengali capitalists, they were enjoying rights that were not free per se. Okay. And again, that's what Marwaris did. Marwaris just came in and took up the mantle of Bengali capitalists.
Yes.
So,
now, okay.
Yes,
now,
Abhay said the right thing. Mercantilism.
Yeah. So now we don't have much time anymore. Just to sum up, why exactly?
नीनर का comment हुआ, highlight करो भाई. Second last comment नीनर का.
Oh yeah.
नहीं उसके ऊपर.
Yeah. तो
अभी भी आ सकते हो भाई.
Yes, join the dark side. Engineering करके क्या होगा? Scope अच्छा है sociology में.
Sociology नहीं, history भी पढ़ सकते हो. I mean, history is fun. History is more fun.
If push comes to shove, you can just say Hinduism sucks, and there's casteism and lack of feminism in Kashmir, and move on with your life. You can have a nice life. Come join us. So, so Mr. Sociologist, to sum up for the new viewers, why exactly can't casteism be called indigenous to South Asia? What are the kinds of examples we see of casteism or casteism elsewhere in the whole world? A brief history.
The biggest glaring example is Japan, where you had the Burakumin issue till the 1980s. Okay. They solved it by building schools and colleges and keeping the identities of Burakumin hidden, by the way.
Okay.
They didn't incentivize the identity. So they said, भाई school में पढ़ो, college जाओ, ये सब करो, नौकरी करो, ठीक हो जाएगा. And now Burakumin discrimination is at an all-time low in Japan.
Okay.
But till the maybe 1950s and all, it was pretty bad. Because it was kind of institutionalized by the samurai, and these guys used to do all the works like policing, executioners, torture, punishment, skinning. These kind of activities were done by them, and leather work. So they used to kill animals. उसमें Buddhist थोड़ा ideology भी आ जाता है. If you kill animals, you're a bad guy. So they were butchers and skinners and beggars, prostitutes. All these professions were seemed to be kind of hereditarily polluting and bad. Okay. And therefore the Brahmins, the Eta-Hinin castes of Brahmins, Eta-Hinin caste, the samurai of Japan. Japan has some caste problems still, but it is not as bad as it was. And yes, capitalism did do away with a lot of this in Japan. Capitalism, मतलब ये direct तुमको कोई नहीं बोलेगा, ये direct तुमको ज्यादा कोई नहीं बोलेगा,
ये sentence कभी नहीं मिलेगा, तुमको 2 और 2 4 करना पड़ेगा.
Exactly.
जैसे कि हम भी कर रहे हैं. No, among the papers we have discussed, no one has said that Hinduism has nothing to do with caste. They have said here and there, yeah, Dharma Shastra doesn't have to do with the casteism in Bengal, or yeah, Buddhist kind of incentivized making farmers Shudras. ये सब तुमको add up करके sum निकालना पड़ेगा.
precisely. No, Meiji restoration and all, तुम लोगों को थोड़ा पढ़ना पड़ेगा उसके बारे में. Meiji and all that stuff. You have to read more critical histories of Japan. But even like post-war, even pre-war, थोड़ा जापान में थोड़ा सा कास्टिज्म था. ये थोड़ा सा नहीं, मतलब अच्छे से था एकदम. हाँ. And कोई वहाँ पे मनुस्मृति नहीं पढ़ा है, एकदम भी नहीं पढ़ा है.
And so what other countries have or have had casteism?
जर्मनी के बारे में एक बुक है, Defiled Trades. You put that on your this thing, community wall.
Community tab.
That book I highly recommend everyone reading. Highly recommended by me. वो तो जर्मनी है. Then you have
British nobility.
हाँ.
British gentry, nobility.
British, they used to have some kind of polluted thing, but not so institutional. See, Britain, the problem of Britain was, Britain में ज़्यादा state was not so strong as you think it was. Okay, the state institutionalization of status was less, so it could very well be that if you could come up with some land and money, you could rise in a few generations. So Britain में the social mobility was higher than rest of Europe. And Britain also developed capitalism. वो है. America में you had exclusive status groups. Now they did not like mixing. मतलब they did not like Catholics, they did not like Jews, they did not like blacks. ये सब तो था ही. मतलब even white में भी उनका अलग.
Italians, Irish, किसी को तो पसंद नहीं था ये लोग.
And the British status system, the British aristocrats, they created the modern racial hierarchies. ये ब्रिटिश एरिस्टोक्रेट्स ने बनाया था. मतलब ये जो रेस था, ये उनका वर्जन था कि मतलब व्हाइट में कुछ अलग है, ब्लैक में कुछ अलग है, तो अलग ही होगा. So this is a guy. There is a guy called Tim McInerney. Okay, you can Google that, Tim McInerney. Okay, he has his book is available. It's in Bloomsbury Academic. So you can get that. It's I mean, you मतलब ये थोड़ा ढूंढना पड़ेगा तुम लोग. So that is a brilliant book. That is how they created the idea of eugenics and how races are different. Matlab, somebody evolved more, somebody evolved less, somebody is a animal, somebody is a human. ये सब जो बेकार का सिस्टम उन्होंने बनाया था, ये उन्होंने बनाया था.
Yeah, and based on that, they came up with the idea of Planned Parenthoods only in black neighborhoods, because black people were stupider according to them, and therefore they need not breed and fill up the world with these stupid people. And then commies appropriated that and said that we need to empower black women, so let's have the same thing called Planned Parenthood in those neighborhoods and incentivize easy access to abortion, even though it was started to kill black babies. But the action remains same with a completely different justification. Where have we seen that? In West Bengal. Now, who gets it wrong? Name some of the people who have created this idiocy of casteism being associated with Hinduism. Name the culprits. Name and shame them.
Culprit matlab ye to mainly see Dumo and his like Bougle, 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 a French sociologist.
Okay.
ये दोनों मेन है. like Bougle's sociology influenced Dumo's. Okay, but problem क्या था कि there were always British people like Risley and others like who propagated Aryan. मतलब एक जन ने नहीं बोला कि Hindu is equal to caste, एक जन नहीं बोला. Implied मतलब Hindus are Aryan, so Aryans were Aryan race मतलब इनको मार के इन्होंने सब ले लिया. ये सब करके these people kind of built that whole thing. Edifice of Hindu is equal to caste, but primarily you can see Dumo, who is the main like post-war, like post 1950s. He was the head of sociology of India in EHESS Paris, and he started this journal called Contributions to Indian Sociology. Okay, so these positions mean that he was very powerful as a person who could create the discourse of caste.
Okay. Now, name some modern ones.
Modern तो वही है, मतलब क्या बोलूं मैं, Wilkerson.
Some modern academics only. Politician नहीं.
Actually, to be very honest, not a lot of modern like अच्छे good academics have actually made it like a direct association with Dharma Shastra and caste and that kind of thing. Okay,
Because
like
it's become
very-
uncool to do it.
because not just uncool, it was not fair. It was not a very good thing to do. Like, matlab, as academics, if you have to be legit, like Sumit Guha and these kind of people, you can't say that. So I won't be able to name a lot of people except Dumo. And Dumo se inspired एक आध बंदे थे हो सकते हैं, but main is Dumo. Like, and Dumo is very powerful because Dumo is taught still in colleges. Okay. And देखो प्रॉब्लम यह है कि ना अभी ये डिस्कोर्स बन गया है and people have accepted trads, everyone has accepted it. So caste is Hinduism, ये मारोगे तो इतना अच्छा वो हो जाएगा ना कि मतलब इतना कॉमन एस्पेक्ट बन गया है ये आफ्टर कॉलोनियल रूल, आफ्टर डूमो एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ कि ये and political parties did that as well, like we did it, political parties did it. Everyone parroted the same Aryan invasion theory and crap like that. And as you know, Brahmos promoted Aryan invasion theory. So all of this is connected. Caste is equal to race, is equal to Aryan invasion, is equal to Brahmin domination. All that stuff is somewhat like the whole that whole baggage. So there are different people who promoted it in different times.
Yeah.
And
some significant
people like that guy, हमारे favorite sociologist अभी का.
Some significant person whose paper I read in the last few days, or someone in that book launch of Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, one of the chief guests was also pointing this out. He or she did not hint at, mention them by name.
क्या हुआ?
Oh, you all can't hear. Gigantic procession is going on. I think Kali Pujo Bhashan.
Oh, your noise cancellation mic is pretty good, I guess.
Oh, so if oh shit, I might get a copyright violation. Wait 2 minutes. But let's listen to this.
You mute yourself, yeah.
कास्ट सेंसस लेकर क्या करेंगे? गीत गाएंगे, भजन गाएंगे, क्या करेंगे? इज इट नॉट डिवाइसिव?
ऑफ कोर्स इट इज
इन दिस कंट्री. ये माइनॉरिटी का कीड़ा डालना बंद कीजिए. माइनॉरिटी तो वो है जो माइक्रो माइनॉरिटी, पारसी बेचारे गायब हो गए सब कुछ. नहीं, डोंट कंपेयर. वी आर नॉट माइनॉरिटी, वी आर सेकंड लार्जेस्ट मेजॉरिटी. भाई अरे आई एम अ मुस्लिम, व्हाट आर यू सेइंग?
इसकी बात खत्म हुई, इसको बोलने देना.
भाई आप मौलाना हो क्या? अरे ये क्या तरीका है? मुस्लिम इज नॉट बीइंग अलाउड टू स्पीक ऑन मुस्लिम इश्यूज. भाई विवेक श्रीवास्तव, ये क्या तरीका है भाई? ये क्या तरीका है? इतना अत्याचार मेरे पे हो रहा है.
एक्चुअली बॉस को तो बोलने दे. बॉस कौन है?
देखिए, मैं केवल इतना पूछना चाहता हूं कि आपने कहा कि माइनॉरिटीज, अभी आपने कहा जितनी आबादी उतना हक, तो फिर उस लॉजिक के हिसाब से तो हिंदूज की आबादी ज्यादा है, तो हिंदूज का पहला हक होना चाहिए ना. विवेक जी एग्री करते हो नहीं एग्री करते हो? अगर जितनी आबादी उतना हक है तो हिंदूज आर इन मेजॉरिटी. हिंदूज का पहले
you cannot put the caste system away which has been exploited.
अच्छा, वेरी गुड विवेक जी, वेरी गुड. 10 सेकंड. Muslims have more castes, which is Ansari, Ghosi, Dhobi, Halalkhor, Julaha, who are not allowed by the Ashraf Samaj to come to the mosque, who are not allowed in the burial ground. Say that we want that the Muslim Jati should also be, Muslim Jati is also there. Please identify and then say that we will be against anybody who says that Islam is an egalitarian religion, which you then oppose. The anti-conversion laws say you will stop opposing.
No. Now listen to me very. I'll just take 10 seconds. You are wrong because in Islam, officially, you do not have the caste system that stands for equality. Whereas in Hindu,
अरे आप practically बोलो ना,
आपने one
practically क्या भाई?
श्रीवास्तव जी, आप उसको समझा रहे हैं
Hinduism officially has caste. And this is being said by a mainstream leading political analyst in a mainstream, one of the biggest news channels on the show. And no one is even countering it because they know in their hearts that, yeah, that part might be true, but let's just call it practically. Because in the end, therefore, Shahzad is also saying that, yeah, that's Hinduism in practice and this is not based on scriptures, really. So you see,
This is
so
a result of Goebbelsian, propaganda. It's nothing else. Like for decades and like for over a century, we've been hearing this, right?
no one disagrees with him if when he says that
हाँ, मतलब
Marxism
अलग
is
10 लॉजिक दे सकते हैं, but
yeah.
eventually we have to start confronting this, and इसको confront करने के लिए जितना पढ़ाई, जितना लॉजिक, जितना एडुकेशन चाहिए, that unfortunately ये apologies to Bhupendra here, but apologies to whoever said that वो they're celebrating the Sang's 100 years and whatnot. That does not come across as one of the priorities of the Sangh, as having an academic discourse related to this.
Because no one in Sangh knows this.
Nobody will know either, because if you're, I'm sorry, that they're just dumb. That's all I can say. Now, the problem is that that's a minority view still, in not just popular views, in academic views as well. Abhi chilla ke hum logo ko bolna padega repeatedly, like Sisyphus, every single day, that again caste has nothing to do with Hinduism, caste has nothing to do with, and then repeat this dialogue repeatedly. Perhaps that is what we are fated to do. One of the things we are fated to do.
So therefore, based on that, the last two questions for the night. One is, who are the people who get it right among the legit credentialed academics of yesteryears as well as in the current era?
I think Quigley is the best. Quigley, you see this one, Tumara Dirks, they get it almost perfectly right. I can't say anything more than that. Like, I'm not in no position to judge these people, but they have so beautifully destroyed the myths of religious caste that it has nothing to do, nothing can be said after that. But ये मास में पढ़ाना पड़ेगा, ये मास में दिखाना पड़ेगा लोगों को. That sadly, वो उसको पढ़ने के बाद you take the essence of that and then put it into the masses. वो अलग ही ये मतलब you have to work 50,000 times as harder than this. And honestly, why should you alone or me alone have to take that burden? I can see Nava Vimarsh and all, they are trying, others are trying. So let's hope a collective mass movement emerges.
What about people like Max Weber, Dayabati Roy, Shumit Guho, Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, Irfan fucking Habib, all of these people,
Irfan Habib,
their
yes.
views?
No, I mean, most of them are like, ye kya ho raha hai na? This is a incremental thing. Like you will not get them to say ki एकदम नहीं है, but ये शास्त्रिक, धार्मिक, all that officially नहीं है, ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है. These all add to this, like we are doing, right? It is not about just somebody saying bluntly, there is no caste in Hinduism. But we have to slowly build this up incrementally with tons of counter examples and
wait. এই ফ্রি থিঙ্কার লেওড়া, আমার হাতটা দেখছিস কোথায়? আমি এখানে হাত নিয়ে ডিলিট করছি, কল্পনা এবার ব্লুটুথে আমার মাউস কাজ করছে নাকি? আমি বাবার জন্মে কমেন্ট ডিলিট করি না, ঠিক আছে? কারণ যাতে অ্যালগরিদম বুস্ট হয়, বালছাল কমেন্ট করলেও বুস্ট হয়। আই ডিডন্ট ডিলিট ইওর কমেন্ট। ওকে, কন্টিনিউ।
Low testosterone bong. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm a bong myself, so anyway, chalo, my thing is that we have to dekho Arvindan Nilakanan, whatever that guy, you need 100 more people saying like this needs to be repeatedly said with legit academic discourse. वो जो solid करना पड़ेगा ना, वो अलग ही level का you need thought process. And let's see how that happens. At least we've started something.
The last question is, based on the conversations we've had and based on the conversations I've had with some people, some significant people, who are also not that hopeful on this issue. You seem to be all of a sudden hopeful in the last 5 minutes, but what is the future of the not just caste narrative, but all sorts of non-left and pro-India narratives that we have been talking about in our channel, and many other people have been talking about in their own way in their channels as well? Are those narratives ever going to become mainstream, or are we going to play catch up with commies forever? What's at least BJP going to do about it, since there are no any other party who seems to be interested in these things, in the non-left sides of the narratives? We have to talk about only BJP in this case. When do you think is BJP going to do Brahmin Bhojan in the modern era? And if at all they are going to do, which kinds of Brahmins are they going to feed? And how will they, what do you think they are going to execute about narratives? Or do they think narratives just happen organically and that's enough?
I think they will never understand the value of narratives. right wing का यही प्रॉब्लम है हर जगह. मतलब राइट विंग या वाना बी राइट विंग जो भी हो, हाँ, मतलब कंजर्वेटिव्स जो है जिस भी देश में, they don't understand the dedication it takes to, because see, there is an anti-intellectualism because they need the mass support, and in order they make that anti-intellectualism their whole identity, and that is the problem. Once you deny that people with intellect are important, then you can't go back to that so easily. Okay, or you co-opt one or two people, उससे भी नहीं होता है, हाँ. और देखो, you need mass support. Now if you, this is what we are saying is a sophisticated argument. Now if you go and tell 100 people, maybe one or two will understand. इस rate से तो our narrative, the narrative we're trying to push forth is not even mainstream, not even, is pretty mainstream, I would say, in very weird ways, because we're
the conclusion is not mainstream.
Yeah, the conclusion, but मतलब जो materials लेकर आ रहे हैं वो भी mainstream हो गए हैं अभी तक.
Yes.
Problem is something that is slightly different. That is that does the BJP need this to win elections?
No.
If they needed this, then that would work. Donald Trump does not need this. BJP also does not need this, because they will show inflation figures.
That's the short-sightedness of their idea. They will need this someday. Because what is in an ideal fucking scenario, what's the best that BJP can do with going on in this narrative? That therefore redistribute all wealth to just Dalits and India will be happy from eternity. That's the best they can do with India then. And that's not really a good thing for India. Because they are socialist and they are pro-Dalit, they hate casteism. दो और दो चार करो भोसड़ी.
Exactly. And देखते हैं, Neener is asking for my prediction. हमने prediction करना छोड़ दिया है भाई. जब से
but check out this other comment of Neener, that see, Sangh themselves don't believe in this idea, but everyone thinks we are doing propaganda.
I saw this. Problem ये है ना कि you see, the very first instance what happens when you enter a humanities classroom is you are taught to hate your country, you are taught to hate your religion.
Yeah.
तो वो impulse काम करता है. Now clearly, unless it's cool to do what you are doing, मतलब you, Neerajan, are doing, till then this will persist. It is still cool to hate Hinduism. It is still quite cool to hate Hinduism.
Yeah.
ये जब से, और ये लोग सोचते हैं ना कि ट्रेंडी वीडियो बनाओ उससे हो जाएगा, नहीं होगा भाई. वो academic elite, academia is the most elite space in the world, has always been so.
Has always been.
Okay. And इस elitism में घुस के इन एलिटों का दिमाग खाने के लिए you have to be an elite yourself. And if you have the anti-elitist mentality, you have mega mentality or BJP mentality कि हाँ मतलब पूरा elites को निकालो यहाँ से and all that, it will never happen, because elites will always be kept by other interested parties.
Yes. A few days back, one of our viewers tagged me in a nice post in Twitter. I don't think he will agree with my conclusion here, but he was stating a very, a correct thing, that more economically upwardly mobile anyone becomes in India, any kid as a maybe whose parents are first generation middle class or first generation upper middle class, they automatically become more and more and more Americanized. Okay, that's a nice fact to
Precisely.
promote, and he's saying that we need to change this, etc. But the fuckers on our side keep on saying, who cares what's happening in America? Who cares what Irfan Habib says? Who cares what Dirk says? Some guy, who cares what Thomas Sowell says? But then,
This
at the end of the
attitude
day,
is why
why are they
that-
running the narrative?
Exactly. This attitude is why that girl, despite us giving 100 proofs to the contrary,
Hmm.
still thinks we are Sanghis.
Hmm.
Okay, it's not
Yeah.
contrary that we are not non-Sanghis. It's just the problem is that she cannot at some basic level accept what we are saying.
Hmm.
Okay, and this is the problem. This is the biggest problem. You have to be cool. Young people, even old people, they will follow cool and they will follow elites. Most people follow elites. And tell you something else also. Hindutva became a force, whatever it is today, because precisely because there was a guy who was unflinchingly Hindu who became the prime minister. Okay, जब तक economics में Nobel laureate was the prime minister, back then Hindutva was not mainstream. Let's face that fact. Okay, even 10 years ago, Hindutva people wouldn't say I like to be a Hindu. People wouldn't
Of
say
course.
that stuff.
Yes.
Okay, God forbid, but if Modi go out of power, okay, 10 years में कोई एकदम अल्ट्रा सोशलिस्ट एकदम पूरा सेक्युलरवादी कोई आ जाता है, like Nehru part 2. Okay, if Rahul Gandhi becomes prime minister, then this will very easily again overturn. Not so easily, but it will again
yes
go back to the status quo.
Yeah. 10 साल लगेंगे एंटी हिंदुत्व बनने को पूरे देश को.
हाँ,
Because
अभी भी
convenience is
anti-Hindu
everything.
ही है. People don't know. अभी भी है. That is the mainstream academic narrative. To change that, you need
Academic narrative तो है ही,
hundreds of
and even
College Street Kolkata channels, hundreds, thousands of College Street Kolkata
and
channels.
if we stretch it far enough, we can argue that even devout Hindus are anti-Hindu in a way, because the what's the impression we are giving to politicians of all parties even today, that how to appease Hindus, make a temple. Mamata Banerjee thinks I need to play the Hindutva card, makes a copy of the Puri Jagannath Mandir. What are Islamists, Jews, Christians, everyone getting done? No one's making churches and mosques for them. They are getting institutional power. We are getting temples. So Hindus only understand temples. They will tie up their dogs in their courtyard and do Tulsi Puja right in front of the fucking dog. तो उससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं होगा तो how are you even pro Hindu? You are not
Precisely.
pro Hindu.
Precisely.
Definitely not pro Hindutva. So I know
Hindutva is
we were
something
supposed
else
to.
entirely. That is the other problem.
Yes.
हिंदुत्व को समझ भी नहीं पाए हैं ये लोग. मतलब हिंदुत्व is a political ideology, and it has nothing to do with temple building. To be very honest, in my opinion, again, people will get angry.
Yes.
But
No, it is time to say these things. I was also not in agreement with you in the last 2 years when you said this to me. But now it after Mamata Banerjee made the Jagannath temple, it did strike in my mind that, oh my God, what have we incentivized? We have told her that the best way to impress us is make a temple, and we are complaining about other things. So I know we were supposed to end at 9:30, but if you have 5 more minutes, so even Joe Rogan has endorsed Donald Trump. So what do you think of it?
देखो भाई, मैं नहीं बोलूंगा. तुमको प्राइवेटली जो बोला है बोल दिया. उस दिन नेक्स्ट डे देखूंगा. I have stopped saying it in public. कुछ बोलूंगा तो बवाल हो जाएगा. हाँ,
विवाद हो जाएगा.
हाँ, विवाद हो जाएगा. कुछ बोलूंगा तो विवाद हो जाएगा. छोड़ो. Protoy Kundu has said belated Shubha Vijaya. All of you Shubha Vijaya. Do it as many years as you can now. Enjoy every Vijaya, because the few maybe are last few. So yeah.
So okay, so Kaushik SOC design is let's end with his point then. Comment on it and then we'll go.
This. Yeah. I don't know whether I'll be able to Rajbangshi Gorkha community. No, you won't. Honestly, you won't. I'll tell you why. The only caste that could challenge Bhadralok's properly with numbers, that caste is not even waking up in West Bengal. Us caste ka naam hai Mahishos. They have more than 1 crore population, but they are not more than 1 crore, almost 2 crore, if I'm not mistaken.
Achha.
But they don't give a damn about caste politics. यही है भद्रलोक privilege. Commies ने इनको सब बुला दिया. There were Mahisho movements earlier, but they completely forgot all this. Secularism के चक्कर में caste भी भूल गए ये लोग. ठीक है. तो
that was the topic of Shekhar Bandyopadhyay's paper, the one we discussed on partition ruptures in Dalit politics.
Yeah, and many more. You will see Anirban Banerjee, he has written on Mahishos.
Yeah.
Mahishos are a very powerful caste if they want to be. They are like Bruce Banner right now, okay?
Rani Rashmoni was Mahisho.
Many Mahishos have the numbers, bro. Mahishos को छोड़ के किसी के पास 4%, 5% ज़्यादा number नहीं है. Not even Motuas. Motuas claim to have 10-20%. They have not more than 4.5. Okay.
Right.
4.5% से you can't dominate. 30% से you can. ये तो West Bengal में clear है. But you can't dominate with 4-5%. एक ही caste है जो almost 20% के आसपास है. There is the Mahishos, and you can Google the Mahisho surnames and all. But Mahishos are in western part of West Bengal. They are dominant castes, but they are also powerful castes, and they have numbers also. So that is the only caste that can challenge Bhadraloks properly.
Okay, let's end with Shastri's question. Is there any hope for West Bengal? My opinion is in next 30-40 years, maybe yes. In 100 years, no. It's going to be a battle between
to quote Sanjay Dutt from Munna Bhai MBBS, nahi. So okay.
But I thought you were hopeful in the short term at least.
Short term में है, हम लोगों का जिंदगी में शायद कट जाएगा कुछ. I don't care anymore about the future, because what I'll tell you what, we have to take the Jewish thing, okay? We have to take that thing where you educate your next generation enough so that they can run away if
they can run away. Yeah. Yes.
वो कर लो, ठीक है.
Okay.
Or I have
on that positive note.
Now. Enjoy every Kali Puja and Durga Puja like it is your last.
It might be the last one you ever enjoy.
Yeah. Pura. Chalo. Good night.
Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining the live stream. Good night. Bye. Good night.
श्रवरूढं महाभीमं गुणाद्रष्टाम्बरप्रदं हस्य युक्तं त्रिनेत्रं च कपालकर्णिकाकरां मुक्तकेशीं ललज्जयः पिबन्तीं रुधिरं चतुर्बाहु समायुक्तं वराभयकरं स्मरेत् चतुर्बाहु समायुक्तं वराभयकरं स्मरेत् कानि